welcome to Serpent Temple. This is a new podcast format. We're going to be a promo company, but for now we're doing podcasts. We're going to be using Psycards to delve deep into the minds of musicians and people in the industry. So I have here with me my co-host Floyd, and here is Cam. Cam, tell us who you are and what you do.
Right, my name's Cam Clark or Cam Shuck. I'm probably Cam Shuck. Yeah, that's my name. And I'm just like an all-round music person. Most people know me for my band Sufferer and just being at metal gigs all the time. But I also work at a studio in North London, Satellite Studios, and I produce there as well under the name Cam Shuck Productions. So hit me up if you need anything next.
Yeah, some sick promo there. We rehearse, my band Lowen rehearsed at Satellite. I can confirm that one of the best studios we've used, so please support them if you can.
Thank you.
That's alright, man. And there's a really cool fundraiser right now. You can get a sick tape and you can get a rehearsal room named after you, which I really like the idea of.
Yeah.
Give these a shuffle, man. Like,
cool. And
start imbuing them with your
shuffling,
spirit.
like, even just playing Uno, I just like hard shuffle the cards.
See, funny thing about Uno is I didn't realise that was like a bastardised version of that blackjack everyone used to play at school. You know, the one where like king reverses and then 2 is skip a go. Obviously it's not real blackjack, it's not 21, but that was that weird blackjack everyone used to play at school.
I never played that.
Did you not? It was like...
Did you both go to school in North London?
Oh, it's southeast.
Southeast.
I mean, I think I know what you're talking about. I wouldn't have played it much, but I know what you mean. Definitely once or twice. Is this enough shuffling?
Why not? Yeah,
I'm ready.
If you feel it, then you feel it.
I'm feeling it.
Okay, so this is the Inquirer card. This is the Center card. You are the Inquirer. You are inquiring. So the first card goes on this. It's like a little bit wonky. So put it on top like that. Yeah.
Inquire is actually one of my favourite words.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Inquisition.
Hey!
What it means to me anyway. We'll get to that later.
The I word. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4 is, where is it?
I just put this on top?
No, you just do it like this. It's going to be a diamond. So number 4 comes up here. And then 5 is down here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, my knee clicked, 13, 14, 15 right at the bottom there. So you've got the diamond. So this is like the center. These are the things closest to you. These things, if I remember correctly, are going to be like, hang on, I'm still new to this. The cards in 10 to 13 are those which are coming to affect you soon. So this is kind of like your future. The card in 14 is your outer projection. 15 is your underlying factor influences. So this is all going to be like sort of your psyche and your future and your past.
Cool.
So you want to turn over number 1 and see what you get.
Damn!
Fuck
yeah!
It's inverted though.
Oh, you're not supposed to...
No,
okay, it's inverted.
But if they all come out upside down, because it might mean you shuffle it upside down, then you pretend it isn't inverted. So you see, because like sometimes when people shuffle the deck, they shuffle it and they don't realise the whole deck's upside down, so all the cards are inverted, and if that happens, then you re-invert them. If that makes sense. Because then you're like, oh, it's not actually inverted, it's just upside down, that's different. To being inverted, according to the spirits. Yeah, so death is number 16. I'm going to go into the numberinos. The doorway leads into a mysterious burial chamber, a skull-shaped hill. Flowers lead the path to the portal, but the mood of the card is somber. Death is the natural end of life, and the card symbolises finality. The tomb brings reminders of resting places of the great heroes of mythology and carries with it an implication of the possibility of rebirth.
Pretty interesting.
Could that be anything to do with your new band, Ancient Hatred?
Not really, that's actually not what I thought of at all.
What did you think of?
Well, this is like I think about death all the time. Not because it doesn't like haunt me or anything, I just find it super interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, and as many of you know, like I've had a very like near-death experience where I was convinced I actually died, and I had this crazy experience. It's just like I've never done psychedelics, but the way people talk about it and like the DMT sort of realm, it's like I swear I went there. And the rebirth thing also, I actually feel like I'm in a second life now. Like, I was explaining to a friend the other day, if all the people I knew before I died, they're somewhere else. But although people look like them today, it's like I was meeting them for the first time. And it was hard, I think, for people to understand that. And also myself, have you heard of Cotard syndrome?
No, what is that?
It's actually what Dead from Mayhem had. I don't really I wasn't diagnosed with it or anything, but I was convinced I was dead for a few weeks. Afterwards, I was like, nah, like I passed through that gate. Yeah. Like I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. And I kept thinking, having that thought, like I'm not supposed to be here. I've gotten used to it. Like life just feels normal now, but that's how I relate to it.
Interesting first card to get.
I knew it was going to be the fucking first card. So seriously, on the train here, I was like, I'm going to get decked first. I just knew it. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about it more lately as well, just how dissociated from life I am. Like, although I love life, I don't really have any connection to actually being alive. Like I'm totally cool to just fucking die. And it's not. It sounds bad. It sounds like suicidal, but I'm not depressed. I'm actually really happy. But I'm totally cool to die because I feel like I've already done it and like I'm already dead. It's weird to explain to people, but.
Well, I say that, but a lot of people are at their most peaceful when they've come to the acceptance of that death is a kind of an eventuality and a finality in life. So
I mean, it used to haunt me. When I was younger, I had this dream when I was 7. I had crazy vivid dreams, they actually fuck up my life. And I had this dream that I was in my mum's womb. I didn't even know about stillbirths or anything back then. I was 7, but I could hear all my family and my friends outside, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be born. This is sick. And then I died before I could get out.
Oh.
And then I remember just for nights, for 3-4 years after that, I was just like, oh my god, what if I don't wake up? It used to really fuck with my head. I used to get crazy panic about it. And then I just went through this really weird period in my life where it was during secondary school where I didn't go into school. Yeah. I didn't do anything. I wasn't using drugs or anything, but, and I always feel like people are gonna be like, nah, this is bollocks. But I had a full-on sober ego death just through meditation in my room. I was just meditating all the time. Yeah. And it sounds exactly like when people describe, Buddhist monks describe what it's like, people who are on psychedelics and stuff. And then since then, I kind of have just been like, why do I care so much about life? It's fine. When I die, I'm just gonna be the same thing just everywhere. Yeah. Even if I don't know it, even if I'm not conscious, from the beginning of time to the end of time, my atoms have been there, and then they formed me, and I could think about myself. I could see the rest of my body, which is the universe, and then it just crumbles back, and then carries on. It's not that deep. So I guess I do think a lot about death. I write a lot about death. Yeah. And yeah, it's a very important thing to me, and I'm not surprised it's the first card.
It's pretty interesting that there's the cave as well, the mound. Because I was reading your lyrics as well, and you have the song with the saber-toothed tiger fucking up this guy, and he's protecting his family in the cave. These skulls.
I love that song.
It's the lyrics are fucking sick. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, death is interesting, and you do sound a lot like a Buddhist monk. It's a very Eastern style of thinking of being chill with death and it freeing you.
Yeah, I have a weird relationship with Buddhism because, to me, before I knew about Buddhism before Satanism, but whatever the pentagram and all of that shit did to me was exactly what I find in Buddhism. You know, I don't really like sort of LaVeyan Satanism, or to be honest, I don't really know any other Satanists.
It's very egotistical, LaVeyan Satanism, isn't it? About the ego.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and it's weird because it's the opposite for so many people, but for me, it's the same belief system, or not as belief, but attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
to me, it's the same attitude. The Inquisition, really, of like you have to try and dissolve. You have to try and dissolve your mind and your thoughts in your body to see anything beyond your mind and your body. And it's probably hard to explain. Like
I've been getting into like Sadhguru a lot lately. I don't know if you listen to his stuff.
No.
But he has this saying where he's like, basically existence is suffering. And like, if you...
One moment, everybody.
That's great. I love it. Yeah. So Sadhguru is like, existence is suffering. And like, if you want to free yourself from suffering, then you just got to get yourself out of your body and get yourself out of your mind. Because like, some people think that like, being in your mind is like meditation. But he's like, no, you need to like, relinquish your body and relinquish your mind, and then you're actually who you are.
Yeah, I totally get that. I don't necessarily completely agree. I think it's an element of. It's another thing. I don't believe there's like one true way of being. Like, I don't believe in the ultimate truth. If it works for you, it's all about. I think it's all about experience. That's why, although, for example, let's say tarot cards or any other spiritual or religion or whatever, like as long as it feels real to you, that it is real. Yeah. You know. And I actually I've written an EP and it's going to come out soon. I'm not supposed to talk about it. This is a project. It's a secret project, and most people shouldn't know it's me. So I won't say the name or anything, but like it's going to be called A Vehicle for Satan, but it has a Buddhist monk on the front, just like burning himself. And it's all about destroying your body, destroying your mind and your body, and just getting as close to death as you possibly can to like see the light, and then go.
Have you heard of those monks that like would starve themselves and then mummify themselves alive?
That's in the EP as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And to me that just screams sadism to me. I don't know why. I know so many people that wouldn't.
It's crazy how human still a lot of them look. Like I saw one which would have been dead for like 100 years, and it just looked like perfectly preserved, and it was just really odd.
They eat like a special diet, I think, of like honey and nuts, and it like preserves their body, right? Because it like has this like interaction with the meat of the body, and it like the sugar, I think, like crystallizes. I don't know.
So cool.
Don't quote me on this, but I remember reading something like that, and they like it doesn't always work, but then like they slowly like start eating less food and they eat very particular things, and they're just like preserves.
Is Winnie the Pooh a Buddhist?
Hey, maybe.
All that honey.
Just boxes and boxes of honey, not shredded wheat.
That's why he was also chilled out, like.
We're going to adopt the Buddhist honey diet, and then we'll all be happy again. All right, number 2 is this card here. The Sun. Oh, and they're both inverted, like opposite to each other. So Death and the Sun. 20. Let's see what number 20 says.
I don't know. It's interesting.
This is one of the 7 symbols, and they portray the powerful symbols that have governed men's hearts and minds for centuries, and stand for key qualities that are called for in different situations. So the sun stands high over the harvest field with wheat sheaves, ripe corn, and cornflowers. Children skip around a maypole in a celebration of fertility of the land. The sun stands for power, energy, and creative forces behind the universe. A male sign, it symbolizes confidence and success and a benign influence on all around it. It represents the conscious power of the intellect.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, it's funny actually that the sun's coming up because I have a direct correlation with the sun and death.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, when I say I think about death a lot, I really do. So I have a tattoo of the sun here. On my shoulder.
That's a really nice tattoo.
And I got this because that's where I went when I died.
No way.
Okay, maybe the spirits are in the cards.
Yeah, maybe. But I when I was going, I remember lying down, and it is mostly because, not mostly, but it's a factor that I had to keep my eyes open because my friends wouldn't let me shut my eyes because otherwise I was just going to go. So I was just staring into the sun the entire time.
Yeah.
So my eyes were just fucking killing me, but eventually it stopped being painful, became really beautiful, and it just what was it in there? You said about the intellect of the...
It represents, I think, the power of the intellect. The conscious power of the intellect. So the fact that you had the will to open your eyes and look into the sun. And in Eastern symbolism, they revere like eagles and stuff because they're able to fly so high they can look into the sun and it doesn't make them close their eyes, and it shows wisdom to be able to look into something so powerful and not shut your eyes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but that's a cool way to take it. I guess also just like a really personal thing, I have a towel that my mum bought here like 20 years ago, and I've had it ever since I was a kid, and it's got all these medieval looking suns on it.
Yeah.
And I remember she used to just wrap me in that after baths and sing to me, "You are my sunshine."
That's sweet.
Yeah. And then she got to the scene before the ambulance came and everything, and she was the only one that realised I was staring into the sun, so she covered my eyes from it. And so I don't know, I don't really have like a real deep philosophical like idea about it, but it's such a life-death thing for me.
It sounds like a really loving force.
It's a hell of a loving force.
Yeah.
Force, sorry.
Well, both. It's a source and a force. Yeah, it's a masculine thing as well, apparently. Does that like speak to you in any way?
No.
Fair.
I think I have a masculine identity. Like I identify with being like a man, but it's never felt like that to me. It's beyond that. It's not got anything to do with gender or
Okay. So it's like a cosmic thing for you.
Yeah.
It's like a personal cosmic thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Well, third card is this one here. Let's see how they match up. Hey! Death and the Tower lining up with each other. Okay. Alright, so the Tower is number 25. I think that's going to be one of the 7 symbols as well. The castle stands on a hillside without a moat or visible door. Proud, stern, and unyielding, the symbol represents achievement gained in the face of adversity and reflects sometimes the arrogant conscious mind repressing the unconscious mind beneath it. It can often presage the pride that goes before a fall. It can also stand for male sexuality. Still a bit of the old male stuff coming in. But yeah, it's an interesting card.
I don't relate to this one as much.
Yeah?
You know, I think I was trying to find myself in it, and I found a few things. So where it said, what does it say? Pride.
It comes before a fall. You can look at the paragraph if you want.
Yes, please.
Of course. The Tower is one of the more difficult cards. I think it's also in the tarot, and it's generally one of the more mysterious ones. Part of why I've gone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I quite struggled with the Tower as well. I think Miles did when he pulled it. I think it's just. I think it's actually, well, for me anyway. I think because I always associate towers with kind of guarding or protecting something, and it kind of like there's a lot of things I think we all protect and guard within ourselves, and that's how I kind of interpret it anyway.
That's where I was gonna come onto and say here, where it says the, where is it?
Somewhere there.
You know,
I could not read that. That writing is so small.
The arrogant conscious mind repressing the unconscious mind beneath it. I think like a lot of that, how I would relate to that is that in my like waking days, like I feel fine, but people who sleep with me say I like roll around and scream and shit. It's
no
like,
way.
yeah, and like, yeah, and maybe I'm just really good at like not giving a fuck when I'm awake. But yeah, I guess like that's the only thing I can really think of there. And male sexuality, I like sex. Yeah. I think that's fair to say.
There you go, the card is spoken.
Yeah.
That's a sound bite, got it done.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's a pretty phallic looking card. It's like a big tower on a mound, so it's pretty hard to misread that one. And the thing that gets most people is a tower without a door. So it's like the relationship between the what's inside you and what's outside, and what you project outside, and what you keep locked up. And
I honestly don't think I keep anything locked up.
That's good. That's healthy.
I
Maybe
feel
that's what it's saying.
I feel like I'm like incredibly open, and as soon as I realise something about myself that I hadn't noticed or realised, like it's not like I feel like I need to tell someone, but there's always a good time to talk about it with someone.
Good.
You know, because it normally affects like a relationship or something. Like the other day, I realised I was completely taking a friend for granted, and I can't just like think that of myself and go, oh no, cover it up. Like I have to tell them. I don't know.
Well, you know, at this point that card is inverted, so maybe it shows that you aren't locking yourself away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've got to tell the story when you were talking about thrashing about in your sleep, because I'm exactly the same. I'm just an absolute maniac. And one time, I'll tell the story quickly. You ever been to Chessington before? Chessington World of Adventures?
I know it, but I've not been there.
Well, there's a ride there. It's a laser quest. I can't remember if I've told this story before.
I think you might have, but go for it.
Oh, but yeah, there's a ride there that's basically like a laser quest ride, and you're going through this like, it's kind of like an Egyptian kind of landscape, and you got to aim it at the target. And I had a dream, I was playing this, and it was so vivid. But when I woke up, and I was probably going for it in the dream with the gun, and when I woke up, I had my hand on my partner's head, and I was shaking her head like a gun.
Oh my
She was
God.
like, what the fuck am I doing? So I'm really sorry, I thought I was playing Two in Chessington.
My favourite story that you tell me about this is it probably once you woke up and you turned around to your girlfriend and you were like, where's my sleeping certificate?
I was just like, I need it to sleep. She was like, no, you don't need a sleeping certificate to get to sleep. And I was like, oh, thank fuck, and I just went back to sleep. Mental.
You'd issue that anyway, like. What authority gives you a sleeping certificate?
Yeah, I get night terrors where I see like aliens and shit. I don't get cool stuff like that. Like.
How do you feel about aliens?
Oof.
Oh man, I have sleep paralysis and I have night terrors.
Oh fuck.
So I've seen some like my first memories of hallucinations when I was 6 months old. I used to regularly see these black faceless figures that would stand next to my cot and just look at me. And I was like, they were cool. I was like, they're benevolent, but they had no faces. And they just had spherical heads that were completely covered in like weird hair, and their whole bodies were. And there was like a tall one, a middle one, and a kid. And they'd just hang out, and I'd be like, "Oh, you guys are here," and like that was just my childhood. And I used to like see a lot of like weird shadowy long figures. I didn't say this in front of Floyd's bandmates. He's fucking terrified of aliens.
He's petrified of the grace.
He's like really
petrified. Yeah.
But I've had like I used to have recurring dreams about being on like alien planets, and like there was a planet covered in pyramids with like these weird faceless women guarding them, and there was like a big labyrinth
Yo, I'm
inside.
totally into this.
And then like underneath the sand, it was a glass floor, and there was just like treasure underneath the entire planet, and there was like a big weird sleeping beast. And then like the most intense one I had was I woke up once and there was
right there.
That's when you turn around and the text just slowly turns.
I've seen it too. It's not just you.
it's collective. I had one and there was a grey alien sitting on my chest, and he had big ass eyes, way bigger than that. They were like on most of his head, and he was just staring at me. And his mate was in a spaceship outside my window, and I could feel them trying to suck my body up into the space. Like it's like a sleep paralysis thing, so your like whole body locks and you can't scream. So I'm like trying, and I can feel his weight on my chest, and he's looking at me with like this intense hatred. And like I know they want to like cut me open and fuck me up, and I can feel like my blood like trying to like go up through my skin into the sky. My whole body feels like it's being lifted up. And I've had ones where I feel like I've been thrown across the room and stuff. And I'm just probably some scientific explanation, right?
Well,
hope so.
I used to be like a real like aliens bullshit, you know, because I love science. I absolutely love science.
Same.
But like lately, because I always had to challenge my opinions, even if like I'm really sure in them.
Yeah.
I started researching just like aliens and stuff, and I think there are a lot of people out there just talking shit.
Yeah.
But like, I take your word for it that you felt those things. The fact that you felt them is the important part, not whether. To me, it doesn't matter that whether they actually exist without. Outside of your perception, but all we have is our perception, and if they exist to multiple people, like they're a real part of the human mind, and it's super cool. And there's all these crazy like official documented like real shit like UFOs.
There's some declassified UFO sightings and stuff that.
And there's Navy pilots that said they've seen alien stuff. There's aliens all throughout ancient history in like Egypt.
Yeah.
Like when you mention pyramids, like I've been deep diving into this stuff like a little too hard. Like I'm really starting to find interest because I know other people who believe they've been abducted. And talk about like their blood type. They have some proper rare blood type.
I don't have a rare blood type. I've got a basic bitch blood type.
Right. Okay. I don't even know what blood type I am, but and they're convinced they've been abducted, and they were telling me so sincerely, like to the point where I'm like, kind of believe you. You know.
That's the thing. The people that have are utterly convinced, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, they're absolutely sure of what they've experienced. So it's like it's hard to discredit them because they're so fervent in their belief that that's what's happened to them.
You know about Bob Lazar?
I don't know about Bob Lazar, no.
You've got to search. So he worked at Area 51 before. He was the guy that told everyone and made the whole Area 51's an alien like research facility. And the only reason he's not dead is because he went public, so they wouldn't kill him.
Oh shit.
And he's just hella interested in that. I don't want to get into it now because we'd be here forever. We would never turn the fourth card. But yeah, it's really interesting.
I'm gonna check that out.
You should definitely check it out.
I don't know. I don't believe that like I was nearly abducted because I think aliens would be way better at abducting than whatever that was in my dream. I do have like super vivid dreams about aliens, but I think I just like aliens. And I do think that there is alien life, but I think it's going to be more like octopuses and shit.
No.
As opposed to stuff flying around. But maybe there is. I want there to be. I want to believe. You know, like it would be really sick if there were aliens. I'd be like, take me with you.
Yeah.
Like you can cut me up as long as I can hang out.
At the moment I'm pretty inclined to believe there are. Like.
Yeah. I don't know why we're so special they want to hang out with us.
I mean, this is the thing though, right? I feel like a lot of people say this, especially when they look up to the stars and stuff, and they're like, we're so small. No, we're fucking sick. Like, there's so much cool shit that we do.
Yeah.
And like, when you think about like the universe being like 14 billion years old or however long it is, and the Earth is like 7 billion years old, that's actually not that far in. Like, like we could be one of the first intelligent life forces. Like, there's nothing saying that we couldn't be. People always downplay humanity when they look at the grandeur of the universe, but like we could be one of the first.
Yeah. Well, they say that there's like 3 phases we could be in. Well, either the early phase, where we're the first advanced species. There's like the distance theory, where we're just so far away from any other intelligent life we'd never know. And then the other one is that we are the last intelligent race, and that there's been millions of other or an infinite amount of number of intelligent races that predate us.
Yeah, could be.
But I just want to know where the greys come from. Like, where does that imagery come from? Because like you said, it's kind of laden throughout history, and so it's interesting to be able to try and pinpoint where that actually...
Bob Lazar was the first one to really, ignore me. He never saw any aliens. He worked on the ships, he said they were trying to reverse engineer the spacecraft. And the distance thing, he says this is why distance doesn't matter, because they bend space-time rather than use propulsion.
Yeah.
So they just close the gap between you and them.
Like in Dune.
So,
I'm
not sure I read it, so...
Oh, damn.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
They're doing the remake, aren't they? So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
Dave Bautista's
the remake.
Yeah.
Dave Bautista's in it, I think.
I have feelings about the film. Yeah. But it's an amazing book, and I think you'd like it, because Herbert just basically combines all of the religions and a ton of history, and it's like beautiful.
Sounds sick, but I can't read.
Can you
So
not?
no, I can.
Oh,
but like,
I
I
was
can't.
like, wait, what?
Practically no, I can't read. Like, I'm way too just, I'll read a sentence and just,
Oh,
I'm like thinking about shit I end up drawing, and then I write an album about that one sentence, and then it's like, okay, next sentence. I never finished a book. I don't think I've finished a book in like 10 years, seriously.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love buying books, but I don't do
I kind of do that right now. I've been getting worse at reading. I think the world is too modern now. Like my phone's just like pressing the button too much on me. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, so it doesn't help that like I'm constantly looking for dopamine, and you know, sometimes that next sentence is not giving me that.
Not the one. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so this is number 4. Want to turn that over? The wheel.
I've not seen this one.
Neither have I.
Wheel. The Tower and the Wheel. We're getting some really esoteric stuff now. So the wheel is another of the 7 symbols. A water wheel turns in the stream, driving the unseen mill above it, with a strong brick wall shown, whilst golden fish swim among the weeds. This card represents the principle of things endlessly changing, yet forever staying the same. It stands for constancy and persistence.
I'm like, for me, I would want that. I feel like that would be inverted. Like I would assume I would get that card inverted because I don't really have consistency. I mean, I do. I've lived in the same house my whole life. Well, not really, but one of them's been there my whole life, and like I do the same things every day. I have the same friends, but I don't believe in consistency.
Are you a persistent person?
Persistent or?
Persistent. When you have a goal, do you like run towards it?
Yeah, but I don't take credit for my goals. Like I don't decide on a goal. I just end up doing something. And maybe this comes back to like what I've been diagnosed with, like ADHD. I don't really feel like I'm along for the ride. And maybe it's just another dissociation thing, but I don't know.
You've got the wheel and death facing each other, so the wheel could just be life as opposed to how you conduct your life.
Yeah, I guess just like waking up.
Yeah, maybe. But if you're writing, do you feel the same? Do you still have that ADHD when you're writing an album? Or do you like...
No, it's like the complete opposite.
Okay.
It's the most unconscious thing I do. It's really not like I'm not looking for anything. I'm a pretty unconscious person, if I'm honest. Like, yeah, when it comes to writing, very rarely do I choose to write, or do I choose what I want to write about or how it's going to sound. It just kind of
like a stream of consciousness type thing.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, I don't really feel like I'm in control of my consciousness either. It's just like what it is. Yeah.
It's funny because I think that kind of comes across in the album a bit. I think one of the things I liked about the Black Metal Warhead album was just kind of how diverse it is, and like even like vocally, musically, and like it's jumping about all over the place.
Yeah,
but in a good way. Like I like that in music, but it's got like the backbone that kind of keeps it all together and all in a similar thread.
Yeah, I think the backbone is the fact that like me and Kaio like that kind of sound, and that's how we feel when we get together. But we also didn't decide that we want Black Metal Warhead to sound like this. We didn't ever like have an idea of what we wanted it to sound like. We just made it and went, oh shit, we got like 9 songs. Let's fucking record them. And then yeah, so.
But it's funny because one of the things I've picked up when I was listening to it is there's quite a few trad influences in it, and I like the fact that you didn't kind of, because I think feel too much like people a lot of modern bands are so quick to get rid of the trad aspect of metal and the roots of it. That's kind of what I dug about the album as well. You've still got some of those classic metal components.
Thanks, yeah, I think so too.
And I think like the good thing about the wheel is maybe the wheel's kind of representative of the fact that you've got like, you know, the foundations of the music that kind of inspires you and how it kind of keeps the spokes keep turning and sort of.
Yeah, totally, yeah, could be. Yeah.
Alright, number 5 is this one.
This one?
Yeah, that's one. That's one? Oh, what's that? The Message.
I like the look of this.
Yeah, it's a cool looking card, very cool. It's a difficult one. Last time we pulled this, some people were a bit stumped. Alright. 34. It looks delicious. Lying on the deck, drawn up from the ocean depths among the fisherman's catch, lies a bottle containing a message. This card symbolises the promise of a message, whether it comes by letter, telephone, from a friend, or there again, it may come from our own inner depths. The card warns us to be prepared and receptive to the message with its tidings of important news.
So, this isn't talking about my future specifically, is it? Or like it's something's to come?
It's kind of your future. This is what's in, like, projecting you towards it, and this is like the underlying stuff, and this is kind of like way of going.
Okay, so is this card a kind of prediction that a message will come to me, or is it about how I receive messages?
It could be all of those things. That's the thing. It's really open. So it's like this is your center, and this is your innards and your past almost. So it could be like what you're trying to put out. Is it if there's like a message you want to give people?
I definitely don't have a message I want to give people.
Okay.
I definitely don't. I don't think I have anything to say that will. Like, I'll only talk if I've been asked to, you know. Like, although I am loud and I like to talk about my opinions and stuff, not unwarranted, but I think the way I'm relating to that now is how I was talking about I'm not a very conscious person. And I kind of feel like an antenna for like the universe. I don't know what to call it.
You're the receiver.
Yeah, like I don't really feel like this is gonna make me either sound like I think I'm a fucking prophet or some shit. But that's not it. But like I just feel like I have an antenna and things come in and then come out, and if they don't come out, then that's not what they were supposed to do. I feel like all I do is receive messages, to be honest.
Isn't that what musicians are? Like a good one, right?
I think so. I mean, I know lots of other artists say similar things, that it comes to them rather than they come up with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of my life comes to me. And maybe that's just because, like, again, I'm not thinking or a dissociative thing, but I don't know. I never really know what I'm doing until after I've done it.
Yeah. There's like a really ancient idea of art history, like the ancient Greeks had it, but they called it genius, but this is before like genius meant someone really intelligent. And they believed that like the gods would breathe ideas into you, and that's how you'd make art. So if you read like any ancient poem, like the Iliad for example, at the beginning Homer's like, thanks so much gods, it's because of the gods, I didn't do this, they did it through me.
That is exactly how I felt, and I wanted to use the word genius, but because I know the modern, I didn't want to be like, I'm a prophet, I'm a genius. Because that is not how I want to come across. But like, if we're talking, now you've thankfully said the definition. That is exactly how I felt. Like,
there you go.
I don't take credit for. I actually don't feel proud of anything as well. I definitely connect with the term like genius when it comes to fucking hell.
It's so hard to
I
say.
hate saying it. It's like,
you can say spirit because it was kind of like spirit, right? Because it meant it's like breath. You get this in Christianity and like Semitic religions, where they believe that like the prophecy, like religious prophecy, was given to you through the breath of God.
Okay.
And that this breath would like be breathed into you, and then you'd receive it, so to speak.
Okay.
And like it never belongs to anyone. It's just
right.
You're emitting what you've received from outside.
So what when you say you could call it the spirit, maybe I always think of like the genius as the vessel for the spirit.
There you go.
Right, so
yeah.
I guess like that's how I consider like the closest thing to what.
We're getting like so philosophical, but we're all like humble enough not to be like, I'm a genius!
Yeah.
How do you feel about it, Floyd?
Yeah, no, just kind of echoing a lot of what Cam said, yeah. I think it's funny because I feel like a lot of times if you're creating something, whether it be art, music, whatever it is, I feel like I never connect with it if I feel like it's something that's been done intentionally.
Yeah.
Like I only really connect to something if I think it's more linked or imbued with a bit more spirit and a bit more passion. So like you both listen to like black metal, death metal. so much bands that just try and emulate something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm just not interested in that at all. Mm-hmm. I'd rather listen to something that sounds like it comes from a sincere place, and rather than somebody that's just putting through a message that's already been put out a million times by a million other people.
And even if it sounds similar to something that's been put out, but you can tell it's originated from the like trueness.
Yeah.
Rather than then it's good. How do you feel that? Do you feel that it comes into your daily life at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think the interesting thing about me is I'm quite a hyper organized person. Like the way I go about like sort of my work and just my life and my routines. But I feel like that's me and that's the way I am. It's not necessarily something that I consciously decide to be. But I feel like it is something that it's just kind of like how I am. Like I am that hyper-organized person that likes things to be super in its place. And I think that's just a part of me and my personality, as opposed to me thinking, oh, that's just the way this needs to be for this reason.
Right.
So,
cool.
I think it just works. It's just different things work for different people.
Yeah.
And it's like when me and Miles were recording, like, it's a real natural, organic process, which I think is good for me, because I think for me, I tend to overthink a lot of things, whereas it's good to work with someone where we balance each other out and we're able to record music that is a lot more organic and it's a lot more kind of like free thinking and ideas just kind of coming forward, as opposed to wanting to, like, well, we want this to sound like this and this needs to be like this.
Yeah, it's so nice to just hear other people having these experiences. It's sick. Yeah. How do you feel when you're
Yeah, like for me, it's like I have a really complex relationship with this like idea, because I've always been like a very creative person. I was raised by an artist, and like I've had like a mixture of like extreme creativity and extreme oppression in my life, which is like naturally a hotbed for creativity, but also having a lot of difficulty with valuing yourself as a creative. So I've always struggled with feeling like I don't belong, and like I don't like what I have. I don't know, like I don't have anything to say, but I also kind of sometimes make stuff in a kind of fuck you way, because and I think you might relate to this from what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Because like I never meant to be a front person or a singer. I never considered myself one. Everyone told me I was a terrible singer growing up. Like
really?
Yeah, honestly, like
the fuck?
Yeah, like
excuse
when
me.
like members of my family were like, don't do this. Why are you doing this? We've heard you sing, you're terrible. And I was like, well, you know what? Fuck you, I'm gonna do it. And then and there were like just people that I knew would be upset by the fact I was doing it, that like had tried to stop me from doing stuff in my past. So I was like, if I do this, I've won that war they tried to wage against me. And then when it came to actually writing, it did just come naturally, and like all the weird experiences I've had, and like the times where I felt like I don't belong. I'm in this like in-between space, because I never feel like I belong here. I don't believe I belong where I'm supposed to belong, where people think I'm supposed to belong here, that don't think I fit in, like wherever home is when they like go home. I don't have that, so I just belong in this like weird ethereal liminal space, which is why I'm obsessed with aliens and shit, because I relate to them. Like I don't have a home planet.
Are you happy with that belonging, or is that like a?
I don't know, because like but that unbelonging is a gift, and that it's given me this like creative vision, or like this viewpoint, even not vision, because I see things differently. I see things as an outsider, so I see things that other people don't see. But then like I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm lonely. Like people will say stuff, and I can't relate to them.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah, and like I have difficulty relating to other people as a result. Sometimes too, because like I have a very like traditional Middle Eastern upbringing, so sometimes I'm like really straight in certain areas. Then other areas I'm fucking crazy, So like there's these two parts of me. It's like the message in the bottle like rattling against each other. And like part of me like going forward as a musician, I want to kind of be an example to people, and I want that to be a message to like people like me, not to be like, you got to be this way. I just want to prove that you can be like a little hairy Middle Eastern girl and like do heavy metal.
Yeah.
Like I want, and like I've had experiences where people have come to me and been like, you're doing this thing, that's really cool, and they're like me, and I'm like, oh my god, that's to me that's the message.
Like especially like environmentally. I mean that's really cool. Sorry, I didn't want to just. Like I heard what you said. That was dope, but like definitely expectations and the expectations of other people around you obviously make a big difference, because I've never looked at you doing what you're doing and thought like that it's particularly like cool. Not that no. I know that's really what you like. No, it's fucking awesome. Like but I've never gone like. To me, it's not a weird thing that you're doing.
It's nothing special. Like it's not unusual that someone's just doing.
But yeah, and the fact that some people like, for example, the belongingness of you saying like being a Middle Eastern girl and doing heavy metal. For me, that was never a thing that was weird.
Yeah,
you know. So like,
right?
yeah, that's what I mean. Not that it was not cool. It's really cool, but it's it's crazy how I guess we all have such different lives and perspectives on the world, and like that your message basically doesn't exist in my world.
That's a good
because
thing. I don't want it to exist.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't have to do that. Like we should just be able to do what we fucking want, and like people like not have to be like, don't be a dick to people who aren't the same colour as you. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's like a stupid.
But some people need that message, so it's great that there's people like you giving that message to people.
I don't want to do it overtly though. Like, so I'm not like in my music. I'm like black or white or brown. Like I don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's just like by being there, I'm doing that. I guess that's
by
what
actually doing, not just talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'll talk about it to you if I have to. So, yeah. Cool. Do you want to do the next card?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, you got the message, and number 6 is up here. So this is where you're going.
I'm going to.
No. No.
See, it's upside down, so I thought it was like we for a second.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Okay, so this is actually one of the answer cards. We tend to leave them in the deck because sometimes, even though they like are a bit of a curveball, they can sometimes kind of make you think about things. So this is number 3. It's one of the direction cards. They point directly to or away from a course of action and give you straightforward answers to questions you put. They are exceptionally important when the question needs to be answered. Yes, that's that. So no is number 3. Hold back, a red light, a standstill, and a negative card. It's something about your future, maybe. I don't know.
The only thing I've been questioning lately was whether it was worth smoking weed or not.
Ooh.
I don't smoke weed. Like, I'm not a person that like. I've always liked it, right? Because I'm not a casual smoker. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes I feel like having a different perspective, and it's almost like a ritual for me. Like I meditate and shit. Like I don't like watch movies and like giggle with my friends. Like I'm always alone. And lately I decided like, yeah, I'm gonna go there again. So I have been smoking, and then last night I just didn't feel like it. And I was like, cool. What I'm gonna do is actually go and watch a bunch of videos about people who've been addicted to weed, and just see what they say, you know. And I guess that's the only thing that, because I have a lot of like all my friends smoke.
Same.
Like tons of people smoke, and I'm not against it, but I'm not also trying to suggest that it can't kick my ass.
Yeah.
So, because I guess I'm new to that, the only question I had was, is it worth testing if it's going to kick my ass for what it gives me? You know? Is it worth risking being like some of my friends that I think smoked way too much?
Sometimes people become very reliant on it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be saying that I'm not going to be one of those people, because I totally could be one of those people, because I'm a human being, and like thousands of human beings get addicted to anything, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same with alcohol. I mean, I have the same moral quandary with alcohol. I'm not like, it's only a few drinks. I do dumb stuff when I get drunk. Like, I'm not going to say that the drinking's fine. I don't want to ban anyone from drinking. I'm not like saying it should be illegal. Everything should be legal, but I guess the only question I had was, is it worth like going to this other place in my mind for what it gives me? And Carl says no.
Class says no.
Yeah.
That's really interesting you say that. I have a very similar relationship with alcohol and drugs. Because like I'm aware I have a very addictive personality, so I just don't fuck with drugs. Like I have fucked slightly with some drugs, but like I wouldn't allow myself to have a habit.
Yeah.
That's how I view it. Like I'll do stuff on a special occasion.
Yeah.
I'll have like a glass of wine if I'm on holiday, and I'll occasionally be like, maybe I'll have a core of acid, but like in the Netherlands. But like I don't. It's not part of my lifestyle or my personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's cool if people want to do that. It suits some people really well. Yeah.
I'm always skeptical of people it suits well.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
I've just seen so many people better off about it, even if they feel they are, and like again, that is a total my opinion.
Yeah.
Like if they feel they're better off about it in their world, they are. No matter how much I tell them, in my head, I think, come on, mate, maybe, like, yeah. What about you?
I've seen it, but yeah, I actually agree, because I've seen people just lose just the drive and the will to do anything just because they smoke too much. And it's funny, cause I'm completely teetotal, so I've never drunk or smoked or ever at all in my
That's fucking cool, man.
3 decades of existence. But the one thing I was dependent on was caffeine. I was a massive caffeine freak, fiend. And it's crazy because I'm starting to question whether it was just coffee. It's crazy. It's I literally felt like a junkie with it, and it's mad because to so many people it's so alien to consider caffeine something.
It's broken the podcast. Your addiction broke.
Imagine you like seeing a can of monster and licking your lips like
just people drop weed on the floor. I'm just looking for coffee beans.
Yeah,
Fuck, where is it? No, I was crazy dependent on it, which is mad. But I felt like it was similar to what you guys have said. It was an aspect of my personality that's addictive, not necessarily the substance. I was chasing the kick I got from it, as opposed to the actual substance itself. And I feel like it's quite similar with weed. I feel like a lot of people, whereas it's not harmful, it's never going to kill anybody directly, on a chemical level, but it is, I think, like many other substances and many other things in life, I feel like, too much of it kind of addles the brain a bit and causes them to just become lazy more than anything. I've seen people just become so lazy from it.
And I think maybe also too much of soberness can also limit you. And I think that's why lately I decided I've not been tripping out on anything lately. Even though weed is the only recreational drug I ever used. I mean, apart from those fucking balloon things, but that is not spiritual in the slightest. Yeah, I think too much of any headspace is probably not the best. I was prescribed quite a few different drugs for ADHD. And then the one that I was like, I like this was it was called Alvance, and what was the chemical? Dexamphetamine. And I was just there, I said to the psychiatrist, is there any come downs and anything? And they were like, nah, it's fine. So I was like, cool. All right, I'm doing my A-levels, so let's get these grades. Yeah. And I was just using them every day because that's what they were telling me she was saying I should do. And it was sick. I kind of knew it, but I was like, it's prescribed to me. But I was getting high as fuck. I'd be going to school in the morning, fucking on the bus, listening to music, and it totally worked. It was the one thing that actually can make me sit down and do stuff, because it made everything interesting. Before, nothing was interesting to me unless it was novel or new or so it worked. So I kept using it, and then exams were over and I was like, cool, I don't need it anymore. And I just did this crazy fucking dive. It was the most depressed I've ever been.
Did you just go cold turkey?
I was like, do I have to wean off? She's like, nah, just stop taking it. And it was terrible. I was not, because I didn't know what was happening, so I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah.
Because it took me a few weeks to go, hold on a minute, I just came off my meds, like that's why, because I just wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
They put me on antipsychotics, and I was like suicidal, and I've never been suicidal.
Yeah.
And I was just this crazy feeling of doom, and it was just like, I need to stop existing, like now. And it was really bad, and then I you know how I said yesterday I was looking at weed addicts talk.
Yeah.
I just found these meth addicts talking on YouTube, and they would say that the drug I was on actually feels exactly the same as crystal meth.
Holy shit.
And then I looked at the chemical diagrams, there's like one stick just off or something.
Well, do you know the song Come On Eileen by Dexys Midnight Runners?
No, I don't.
It's an old 80s song, but that's where the name comes from. Dexys is short for dexamethasone.
Oh, okay.
So
I guess that's a similar.
Meth and the dex is very like chemically close.
Yeah, and like meth addicts were saying that the thing I was on it feels exactly the same if you take enough of it, and I was on a pretty high dose because I'm pretty like crazy most of the time. Not crazy, but I just hate school. I'm not that kind of person. And that really kicked my ass. So I'm super careful about like taking things not seriously. Like even alcohol, weed, I'll always be like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing this?
Yeah.
That's really healthy.
I think it's a healthy mind. It's a healthy mindset to have.
Anyone want one?
Nah, I don't drink, man. Thanks. I used to drink. I used to go. The thing is, like, I went fucking mental on everything. So like, I drank too much. I would like almost end up in different countries and like, you know, in situations where I could have been hurt pretty badly.
Shit, you're wild.
I
Never
used to be.
expected that.
Not anymore. This is why I'm a lot better now. But like, when I smoked weed, I used to hear voices, and I know that weed can like, if you have like a tendency towards schizophrenia, it can trigger schizophrenia. Yeah. So like, I just don't smoke. I like the smell of it, and it doesn't chill me out. It makes me want to do yoga and like weed. But yeah, I just don't fuck with that at all. And like, even caffeine, I can't drink caffeine. It makes me go mental. Oh. It's really weird. Yeah.
I drink caffeine to relax.
No way.
It's actually like it's an ADHD thing again. Yeah. Where stimulants actually like put me down.
Yeah.
Because caffeine makes me sleepy, so maybe I have it too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like my heart goes fast, but I'm sleepy.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe your brain is like, oh, finally, I've got like some energy.
Also, maybe weed speeds you up if you've got ADHD. That's why I get all like.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of drugs don't work the same on other people with like crazy dopamine deficiencies because your brain does the opposite.
Oh my god, that explains so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cam.
So maybe that's it.
Dr. Cam. Alright. Wow.
I'll never forget that time when I gave you those Sopodine tablets.
Oh my god.
I had a bad headache, and I was just like, oh, these Sopodine, which has codeine in it and caffeine. I was like, oh, my mum uses these, so they really help with migraines. And I got a message, it must have been like 12 at night or something. These tablets really worked. But I don't think I'm ever going to sleep again.
Yeah, it was the first time I had caffeine in like 5 years.
Yeah. Must have fucked you up there.
Oh my god, I felt like I was high, I'm not gonna lie. I was legit pretty fucking high. Let's see the next card.
Tastes like shit as well.
It made me wretch, yeah.
Work?
Whoa, the wheel and work and no. That's a really interesting. Number 8.
And this is what I put out into the world, right?
Let me double check because I still don't remember everything. This book is falling apart. This belonged to Shem's mum. These cards are new, but this is Shem's mum, so it's a bit old and worn and spiritually abused. Not in a bad way. So, 10 to 13, those which are coming into effect you soon. 14, outer projection goal, underlying factor. So this is like your goals, your projections, which may not necessarily be your goals. You do work. Work is like, you're a satellite, and that's kind of like a musical, is that part of your identity? Do you find that feels how you project yourself into the world?
I mean, I definitely project. I mean, my work is pretty much the only projection I ever do. Occasionally I talk about like opinions and stuff, but on social media it's either like memes or music. I'm always That is definitely what I project. Like, most of the time people see my face in video, it's me at the studio, like, talking about it, or me on stage. Yeah, or me being an idiot, like, memeing.
They're very good memes.
I definitely, thank you. I definitely don't feel like it's my identity. Again, I don't really believe in identity. I don't really have an identity. I guess what I project out there, I see that, and then I'm like, oh, that's what I look like, that's what I do, but it doesn't feel like I'm trying to show people who I am. That's not what it feels like. But it definitely, my work, yeah, to be honest, most people probably just do see me as like a musical person. That's my work. So I guess that would be like a huge projection. Yeah.
But do you think that's something that you cultivate, or is it something that it just as a result of what you simply put out there?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
Definitely a bit of both. Because I just, although I said a lot, I don't decide to do things. Some thoughts are more conscious than others. You know. Yeah. I'm not like a complete, entirely like genius-driven person. That I do occasionally like decide to do things. For example, like really long-ass Instagram stories and stuff of me at the studio showing things off. Again, you could say the idea to do that might have come from whatever, but like I'm making myself do that. I am projecting that to people because I want people to pay me. And like I guess that's work. Most of the projection I do is actually work to make sure that people know who I am and that they can get to me if they need me.
That's really interesting that you've got the message and it's like transformed from something that's quite natural into the cogs and the wheels of work. So I guess it's like a natural thing that as you're taking that genius and you're like alchemizing it into like the outside stuff that comes out of you.
Definitely, I'll say this really fast. I reckon like a lot of people don't see that I'm a very like non-conscious person, and I present myself as very like I make decisions, I do things, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I decided to do this, but really like that's how it looks, but it's not that. For me, it doesn't feel like.
Pee break.
Whatever beings are on the other side, it's about why am I living and why have I chosen to go into life? Like, as a being.
What did they say?
That I chose it to, because I can't, they said like it's nice to experience the whole and just be in the whole, but they're like you lack the actual experience of feeling something, because like once you have a separation of self, then you can take things very personally and you can experience the world in a very personal way. Like you chose to go and experience like a bunch of shit. Like whether it's sadness or death or like a bunch of shit, like you chose to experience it and you're experiencing it and like
you're collecting.
And when I was there, like it didn't seem like all my hardships and whatever, like obviously they're sad and they're fucked up, but like looking from that viewpoint, I just looked at it as like a collection of experiences that I value instead of like, oh my god, that was horrible. I was like, okay, I got to experience that.
Do you still feel like that?
Yeah.
Same, man. Yeah. You know what's really weird is I actually was asking them. I was like, dude, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Yeah,
and they were like, nah, you're gonna go back, mate. And I was like,
same,
please,
exactly
like, let me stay.
Thing.
And they were like, no, it's short. You need to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
And they sent me back. And then I woke up in surgery. It was bare.
Yeah, that's fucking.
Wasn't that in that podcast with that guy on
McCall Brooks?
And he's like, he died, and they were like, you've got to go back.
Yeah, that's you
have
have
to
to
go. Really?
I think this guy is amazing. You got here. He has a whole episode.
Duncan Trussell is a G.
Because I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And they were like, no, you have to go back. Like, and they were very specific that I took a drug because they were like, yo, you're just having an experience. Like, you have to go back. You can't just stay here. You're still living there. I was like, no, I don't want. Yeah, and then I felt like a huge like pain, like more pain than I ever felt down here. I think of like being ripped away from there whilst I still know of the existence of that place. I was like, what the fuck? I was way better off not knowing about this than knowing about this and now having to go back. I mean, it's a valuable experience, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Like real bad.
I'm scared to do it because my reality is already so fucking fragile.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
but
that's why I haven't done it yet.
I think that's the people that usually go towards DMT. As someone who's already exploring those sides of reality. Because someone who's not even questioning like what's on the other side, why the fuck would you go to DMT?
Yeah. I actually wonder if I'm gonna do research if this can happen. I know that your pineal gland.
Yeah, it does. Oh yeah.
But like,
because your kidneys produce DMT as well.
Really?
I think it's kidneys. Yeah.
Sick. I mean, I wonder if I have a naturally trippy brain.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Because I genuinely think I'm a naturally trippy guy. Like some older people and stuff have told me stuff that ever since I was a kid I've been like some booky ass like just bare like trippy.
Yeah.
And people who say stuff like who've done drugs and I'm like, wait, what? You had to take drugs to do that? Like,
I've
I
had
don't
that
know.
feeling. Because I hallucinate a shit ton, man. Like I've had when I was a kid, I hallucinated
when I was
so
a kid,
fucking
I
much.
hallucinated a lot.
Yeah, it's like.
Hallucinations have never been a thing for me, but like.
Never in my adult life, but when I was a kid, there was like, especially when I had fevers, it was just fucked up. I would be like in a different place, and then suddenly I would be back in my living room, and I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. Someone needs to like take care of me because I'm just like tripping out of my balls right now.
If I have a fever now, I'll trip balls.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I know Shem will definitely remember. Do you remember Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? He fucking, when I had a fever when I was young, he was plastered onto my wall once. Just fucking staring at Krang for like 5 hours. It's intense, man.
I had a fever. I remember my mother like cooking pancakes. She was cooking pancakes in the kitchen, and I was like on the couch, and there was like a Jack in the Box, like just coming out, like huge Jack in the Box coming out, and I'm like, whoa! And my mom's like, are you okay? And I thought, dude, if I tell my parents that I'm seeing this shit, like they're gonna take me to the hospital, like, or like, because I'm like 6, and I was like, they're gonna take me to the loony clinic or whatever. So I was just like, no, everything's fine. I'm just feeling sick.
It's crazy. I've never had hallucinations. There's so many people who I talk to
With
have
drugs,
similar minds.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we all have pretty similar minds. I mean, that's why we're here in the end. Like, but I so many people I know have hallucinations. I don't see anything.
Yeah.
I never see
As an
shit.
adult, I don't see it even like I mean the DMT or something where you're like almost passed out and you're just seeing the other world, but like seeing something in the real world when they're like, oh, you're gonna see gnomes or whatever, like I've never.
Right.
It's only like feverish dreams and shit that I've had.
See, I think I'm too scared to see shit, so I think my brain protects me from it. So like Nina had night terrors and sleep paralysis as well.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's
so
a lot about
subconsciously scared of that. I think my brain always protects me from trying to see it.
Right.
So.
I think a lot of it is letting go, because I think you can see a lot of shit, especially like on psychedelics, but I think it's more like reference stuff. It's like stuff starts losing shape, and then your brain starts trying to understand what you're saying, and people are like, oh my god, that's like a dinosaur and whatever. Yeah.
Do you feel like whenever you start getting deep and talking about your your experience of the world, you start tripping?
Yeah.
I
definitely
get
get
this,
mindset
like,
to put yourself in.
literally my vision, things start shaking and moving. Like it was happening earlier, and it starts giving me what I imagine is like a come up anxiety, where I'm like, oh, do I really want to go there right now? Like I'm gonna be sat here, fucking zonked, like. We are the same. And I'm not gonna make any fucking sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just...
I get this thing where like I have visual snow all the time, and if I focus on it, I can make it do stuff. Like I can see like kaleidoscopic things.
That's cool.
And when I'm like sleepy, I see like colours and and like loads of like mandalas and stuff like that, like naturally. So I'm pretty sure I'm naturally kind of like.
That reminds me of a joke Sean Locke, the comedian, said once. So if you ever want to save money by buying fireworks, just fucking don't buy them, just rub your eyes really hard.
with weed, I know a lot of people say like it can get really psychedelic if you like smoke a lot or if you have a low tolerance, but sometimes I tell people like, I'm straight up, I'm straight up in a different world, I'm seeing kaleidoscopes, like it's crazy, and they're like, dude, shut up. And it's like, no, seriously, man. Like every time I smoke a lot, it's like it feels like a complete spiritual experience to me. And I was wondering, is that because it just affects me that way, or because I naturally am inclined to like go there?
See, when I smoke, I'm
might be several
and
things.
I just hear voices.
Right. That's not.
So I'm like, that's why I'm pretty sure like don't fuck with weed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, or I'll just like lose the connection with my body and my mind.
Right.
And I'm just like, I can't control my body. And like there was one time we ate some wheat and I cooked a steak in wheat butter, and I just like had no control of my body. And like my body was like laughing, and I was like, help me.
That must have been fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I was like, Shem, help me. I was laughing for like 45 minutes. I was in pain from laughing.
It's funny because you probably was just cracking up, isn't it?
Like, laughing bugs me out. Like when I'm high and I start laughing, it bugs me out because it's like, yo, I can't stop. It's like, look, nothing's funny, but I'm like,
it's anxiety inducing, man. When you can't stop laughing, it is so anxiety.
Yeah, it is.
Nightmarish.
Scary
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell.
I remember I couldn't stop laughing when. Okay, this is gonna sound really bad. When 9/11 happened. Hear me out. Hear me out. To learn how I start my sentences. I was in year 9, and we were in geography at the time when we got called to like an emergency assembly, and like the head teacher told me that there's been a very serious incident. We're going to let you all go home for some fucking weird reason. I mean, it's not like it happened near us. And the kid next to me, Daniel, he farted really loud, and I just couldn't stop fucking laughing, man. And he was just looking at me saying, "Who's this weird motherfucker laughing at the fact that some planes just crashed into some towers?"
You always start creasing at the worst times.
I know.
I was trying to record like a promo, like we were gonna send to like the mayor or something about how like music studios need proper clarification because we're not.
You're not a venue.
Yeah, we're not a venue. We're not hospitality,
Yeah.
so we don't actually really get any of the benefits for either.
Oh no.
And we were making this serious ass video. And every time Jake started talking, my colleague, I was just like, and I just couldn't fucking stop laughing. I had to leave the room.
Oh, man, I relate to that so much. It's like in school when they fucking make you read out in class. It's like it's the worst thing I could have done because I could never do it for straight
I always
face.
loved it because I'm like a performer, so I was always giving it my all.
Yeah, me too. I like
Yeah.
that. I lost a friend because their cat died, and they were like, my cat died. And I'm so sorry, what happened? Like, I put it in the washing machine.
Oh,
I could not fucking stop laughing.
They said they put it in the washing machine.
Yeah, they didn't realise it was a washing machine, and they put the washer on and it fucking died.
What?
I'm sorry. Like, I was 14, I had no idea.
Does she still wear those clothes?
I don't know. I was too busy laughing to ask, and they were like too busy walking away from me, like, you fucking bitch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one because it's not something that usually happens. Kind of hilarious, but yeah, it's serious.
So that's like that lady in the States that fucking microwaved her dog. Fucking, the dog was wet. She was like, I'll microwave him to dry him off.
My god!
The dog died.
No way.
She sued the microwave company and won because there was no label on the microwave saying don't put your pets in the microwave.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
And she fucking got money because of that.
What is wrong with people?
So I think that's why in most microwaves it says you can't put living things or pets in your microwave.
Holy fuck!
Because messed up, innit?
Hilarious and messed up.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, man.
I don't want to think because how did he explode? That's the part where he exploded.
I mean, I don't fucking know.
The radiation heats up all the liquid in your body, so his blood wouldn't boil.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
Super brutal.
Yeah, you're right, sorry about it, man.
Yeah. Microwave. By my owner.
I'm like a good boy now.
Woof woof. Oh, my blood. I want to ask, how has death presented itself to you? Because I remember you saying it was a hand?
So basically, it was like a big hooded figure. Because when I was a kid, right, I always thought of God looking like death. So I thought God was this like faceless dude in like a black cape.
Is that because you met death before you met God?
No, I met death after I met him.
Okay.
But like that's just how I imagined God. But the thing is, I always thought that the way it was is I would die, and that my consciousness was like a bubble fizzing in water, and that I would just eventually like drift into another body and like live my life like that.
Oh, sick.
This is before I knew anything about religion or anything. And now I'm just fucking terrified of death. I really don't want to die. Mainly because I want to experience more things, and I feel like I'm not experiencing.
You're gonna experience a hell of a lot more when you die. I'll tell you that.
I hope so, because I don't want it to be empty black space. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of death being nothing.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
But then if it's nothing, then you won't feel any, like...
That's what
do you
scares
think
me.
That's what's
No, but
terrifying.
does it scare you, like, do you think that if you're gonna be, like, if there's nothing, you will still have the feeling of it being nothing? Or will it just be nothing and you won't... Because then there's nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
That's you.
So the way I see it is that, like, before I was born, I was dead, and I have... To me, it feels like I had no recollection of that. It was just simply, like, nothing. And I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
And, like, I hope that I'm wrong, and that when I die, there is stuff that happens.
Yeah.
What I reckon will happen is you'll think that you're wrong, and then you'll die and you won't know that you died.
Exactly.
Like you'll start tripping balls and then you just actually die.
Yeah.
And then you don't even know. You'll probably start to think, "Wow, there's this crazy world I'm going into," and then.
And you know what? Have you seen the brain scans they do on people who are dying? So basically,
No.
But that's
when
one
you
of
die,
the theories as well of why DMT is appearing in your brain, because of there was like clinical trials where during childbirth, that's when the first like big injection of DMT comes from your pineal gland, so you wouldn't feel the pain of coming into this world. So you have this massive trippy experience when you're getting squeezed through into this world. So you wouldn't feel the pain, and then it's in death as well. That's what it's related to.
So they've done scans on people who are dying.
Yeah, your body's just like, we're not dealing with this.
Even after you are officially dead, your brain is still active for about 9 minutes, and during that time, your brain's just like fucking going mental. And that's like usually when you get the like trippy shit, is what people think. Like when you're seeing stuff and you're like transitioning. I don't know if it's like a way of just naturally making it nice for you to die. But then if it is, why? Why do we have that?
Yeah. No,
Well,
are we rolling, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Shit, I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
thanks,
that
babe.
as well. But it says that DMT might be just like a key to the world, to the other in this realm for you to transition. But I mean, like, that's just a theory.
I watched a really good video. It was called the Death of the Universe. So it was some scientists tried to do a chronological timeline of how the universe began and ended, and it's like, and it's crazy because there's obviously just an untold amount of millions of years when nothing happens. Then all of a sudden the black holes start exploding, and it's just like the last time light is ever seen in the universe, and then it's just nothing until the time's irrelevant.
I mean, that freaks me out, but like, it's also awesome that I'm not gonna be there for it.
Yeah.
Like, well, the thing is, when I say I'm not gonna be there for it, I don't even know what I am. Like, because I when I say I start tripping, when I get deep and start talking about perspective in life and stuff, like, one of the biggest things is I start feeling like everybody I see. I stop forgetting that me and you are different people, and if I go further enough into it, like I'm just everything. So maybe I'll still feel like that.
Who is it? Like Duncan Trussell, I think, said that like you're just like VR goggles for the universe to observe itself.
That's exactly how I think about myself. I don't like it when people say, you know, they look into the sky and feel insignificant. I look into the sky and go, I'm fucking big. Like that's me. I'm like looking back onto the entire system that arises within me, and you're no different, and you're no different.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not. In your world, you might not feel that way, but in my world, I look at you and I'm like, we're the same thing. We're just not connected with direct neurons. But the only way we communicate in other ways with cards and with voices and with art. Yeah. And that's how communities build and then countries, and it's like we're all just like fucking cells in this huge ass universe. I want to ask more about death. Iggy, what does death look like to you?
What was that? Death looks to me like me transitioning into being that bigger part of the universe. I don't think I will retain. No, I don't think there's fear. I don't really fear. I don't think I'll retain any sense of identity though, which is kind of liberating as well. Yeah, I think. But it might get boring, and then you might choose to come back into life.
Do you fear how you will die? Do you ever think about what it will feel like if you're like being crushed by a truck or something?
Yeah, no, I don't feel that. I sometimes think of how I'll die, but I just think of funny situations. Like, I'll fall, like I'll die, like laughing, looking at people like,
Please invite me.
But I you know, like have a nice transition into the afterlife. Because, I mean, some people can, I don't know, I don't want to be in agony. I guess I'm on the point of my death, like just to be suffering before I can pass out from the agony.
I kind of want to be now, because I feel like I've already gone into death peacefully.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that experience where I'm just like in that much pain and I'm like
I want to be like, I know this sounds really fucked up, but I want to be like, oh fuck, I need to die.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've already had the painless.
Yeah.
Even though it was a brutal experience, I didn't feel it eventually. Like, eventually you get so tripped out that you're not even like,
the pain is
even
just
aware
too much
of
to
it.
handle.
Like, it was just gone, man.
Yeah.
Was there like Nina said there was like a black hooded figure, right? Did you say?
That was asleep though.
For me, there wasn't like black hooded figures. There was figures in general, like blue type of like. So one of the experiences I had is like I was in Belgium and we did DMT with one of my friends, who's a tattoo artist, and we always like talked about it before. And I was like 20 and living in Belgium, and I came back. I was 25. He was like, "Dude, I have DMT if you want to try it." So we went to his and I tried it, and I was first like sucked into this pool of like other kind of beings, I would guess, like just made out of like light, kind of like bending into each other, and like we're all just like connected to each other, and I felt like it was too much. I felt like they were giving me so much like unconditioned love that I was like, I don't deserve this, like what the fuck is happening? And I tried to open my eyes and they were just not happy with that at all, and I felt terrified, and they were just like, you have to just let go right now because you're slipping out of your body, you can't just like keep attached. And I guess I like there was like a sense of fear and like kind of like impending doom, because I was like, I don't fucking know what's happening right now. It's amazing, but I don't know what's happening. And then I went, I like flew basically, just like wow, for like psychedelic lights and like geometric type of figures and symbols. And then I found at the end I like was just with this one kind of being, like I don't know who, like kind of made out of like blue lights, and he was like showing my life and showing like, oh, remember when you were really sad on this moment, like how do you feel about it now? And I'm like looking back at it like, oh, what the fuck is happening? And at some point, and it becomes like very disfragmented because there's just like so much information going on. I felt like I was there for ages. Like I felt like I was there for like 2 years, like talking to that person, like about the universe and about life and about my meaning and about my feelings and what's gonna happen like after. So I can't, because it all happens in like 10 minutes. And I remember like waking up and being like, I will not be able to remember like this full experience or to process it even within that. But yeah, and at the end he was like, yeah, you have to, it's time for you to go back. And I was like, I don't want to go back. It's just like, I like observing it from here, like all my pain and misery, because it seems kind of distant. And he was like, yeah, but you chose to go there in the first place, so you have to go back now because you're not actually dead. And then I came back to my body and I like woke up and I was like, dude, I need to do more. I was like, I need to experience more of this. And my friend was like, no, let's just go like smoke a cigarette and go have a beer and talk about like what just happened.
Wow.
And that was the only time I did like the full hit of DMT.
It blows my mind because that is incredibly similar.
Yeah, and it's like an overlapping experience because I've had like the 5-gram psilocybin mushroom trips where you also enter like the different one, but it's just exactly almost the same thing. It's really strange because you just keep having this repeated experience almost. Like it's different, but
Do they remember you when you go back?
No, I had like different people. It was more of an omnipresence type of voice that was
Right.
talking to me. Like no one was really around me at that point, but they were just like on mushrooms. It was a bit more like I was sitting in this like huge empty space, and there were just like kind of cliche screens like all around me, like just showing all my memories, like thousands and thousands of screens, and I was just observing everything for ages. And then
People always say that their life flashes before them when they die and stuff. I mean, that didn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I didn't like relive memories, but like what I did see was Palmer's Green. I was in Broomfield Park when it happened, and I sort of floated above my body and looked, and everything was just so beautiful, and I could see myself and my friends around me, and like I just saw almost all my memories are. It's in this one place in London on this planet, and then I was like, zoom, I just like zoomed off, and I rode a dragon, I rode a dragon that was like, I need to say, this wasn't entirely sober, because by this point they injected me with ketamine because they couldn't give me, and it was just like, straight, like my ears were fucking so loud. And I saw this see-through dragon. I don't know how I saw it. It was see-through, but I guess the edges,
outlines and stuff.
the edges were changing colors, and they were wiggling. And it was like a Chinese dragon.
Yeah.
And I don't have any like connection with Chinese dragons, but it came in and it picked me up, and I sat on its nose. But I was watching this in third person, and then it just took me off, and then the screen was black for the screen.
Yeah.
My vision was black.
Yeah.
I don't know for how long. And then eventually I arose on this bus. It was like an American school bus. I've never been on an American school bus. Flying through the cosmos with everybody I knew on this bus.
It's crazy.
And then my form tutor at the time. See, this is the difference. Is like, I guess on like DMT and stuff, they're complete like light entities. These were people I knew. My form tutor at the time says, you need to get off. And I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors and I step out into the cosmos and it just disappears and I'm in this, literally I'm floating in space. And I'm like, what the fuck? There's bare like lights and shit. And then suddenly sort of trees arise and houses of what look like where I am, but the sky is still very much in the cosmos. Like, almost as if you were to look from the floor into the sky now and see the stars, but I really felt I was in the universe, not like I was like, and I still have that feeling now when I look up. I feel like I'm floating. I don't feel like I'm on an earth. I feel I'm floating on.
That's cool.
And then someone that, a very good friend of mine, who at the time I hadn't actually spoken to for about 2 years, we weren't getting along. She came in a purple dress with gold stars on it. She floated towards me and said, hey, I'm Death. I'm here to like take you to the other world, but you need to let me think for a bit. So I was like, okay. So we floated over to this sort of tree. I waited there and I was just looking around like, this is fucking nuts. Where the fuck am I? But I was also super chill. I was super like, this is it. Like, awesome. I felt really good. And then she said to me, I decided you'd have to go back. I was like, I was convinced I was dead. I didn't know I was gonna survive. Yeah. And I was like, come on, please. Like,
I already made up my mind.
Yeah, like I just died. Like, please, there's so much effort to fucking die. Yeah. I just been through this crazy trip. Like, please, just kind of stay. And she said, no, you have to go back. And she hugged me and she said, it'll be okay. I'll see you again. Yeah. And I said, okay. And then she took me to this door. And at the time, obviously I was going to school, so I was like there every day. So probably the most I ever saw of this world, really. And she takes me into this door. She says, you need to pass through. I open the door, and it's just like a history lesson. I sit down in the history lesson, and the girl who carried me from death and back to life was sitting in the corner, completely unaware that she was. It was the Earth version of her, not this. You know. I don't know, it was really weird. And then she came to visit me in hospital and came wearing gold and brought me a purple stone.
No.
And I was just like, what? And I couldn't tell her. It was just too bugged out to tell her. And the really weird thing as well, I guess this is a lot more personal than general, but it might be. But I feel like there are some. Maybe I feel like I interact with her in the spirit world more than I do the real life, because again, we only ever talk to each other like once a month, but we are constantly like interacting in the dream world. It's so weird. Yeah. I know that's a personal relationship thing, but I guess there are some people that are just you're tethered with. Yeah. But for some reason, she's death for me. It's proper fucking weird. I don't know.
That's mental.
Yeah.
Is there like a part of her personality that you find is different, or like represents something to you?
No,
fair enough.
Not really. No, I mean like we're close, but not like we're not present in each other's lives, so we're really not.
Does she know like now?
Yeah.
That's sick.
She knows now. And the weird thing is she started having dreams where she's in a dress
Oh,
with golden stars
no.
and she's taking me through woods and guiding me through my life. It's
Yo,
bare weird.
that's
She
trippy.
feels like my spirit guide, and whenever we need each other, I'll go to her. But like apart from that, like we actually have kind of like troubles interacting in
the real world.
in the real world.
Yeah.
But we dream about each other and shit. It's proper weird.
That's interesting. She's like a guide to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might just be like a purely psychological thing, and it might have nothing to do with the spirit world, assuming if it's not a thing. But like, no, fuck it, it is a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a fucking thing.
Yeah.
And
That's beautiful. I know in some cultures dragons are like bridges between the living and the dead.
really,
And like alligators in ancient Egypt as well.
I didn't know that.
Like if they would throw bodies in, bless you, they'd throw the camera just sneezed. They'd throw bodies into the Nile, and like if an alligator ate you, it'd be like you'd be pooped into the underworld and shit like that. I think.
That's nuts. I
That's
didn't
why
know
you
that.
see that in a lot of the stone carvings. You see lots of alligators because they're like guardians to the underworld. And you often have like the three-headed dog. You often have like an animal at the gates.
Yeah, I guess I've heard that a lot of you see a lot of people when they're tripping see like half human, half animal type figures. Is that something that any of you can?
No, not personally. Like what do you say? Anthropomorphized.
Anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not personally. I always see like I guess it's like a lot of I always think with tripping it's a lot of your worldview comes into it. So it's like whatever you believe is accepted for yourself. Like I'm saying, like if I'm tripping and I'm seeing like talking to like light beings and creatures, I think I'm talking to them because I'm way more acceptance of that idea than other people. Because I think at the end of the day, it's your mind working on conceptualizing the things that are in front of you. So other people might just see things that are more connected to them.
I guess in the same way that on this earth, our perception and our ideas of how things are affects what we see. Maybe also.
I think
even when you go to somewhere so crazy,
through,
your mind is still
perceiving
it and changing it. Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a psychologist called Jung who wrote a book called Psychology and Alchemy because in the early 20th century he found that a lot of his psychiatric patients who had no knowledge of mythology or ancient history were always saying that they were dreaming the same things. So they were dreaming like things from mythology and legends and symbolism of like stuff they had no knowledge of, but they were dreaming of these symbols like snakes eating their tails, and like he found that there is a part of something inherent in humans that sees particular symbols and particular things, and we interact with the world through particular
archetypes.
Archetypes precisely. It's really interesting. I recommend it.
Oh my, yeah. I'll get an audiobook or something.
Yeah, I was going to say an audiobook. Yeah.
Did you ever interact with specific people within your life?
Yes. What do you mean? How
the dream
interact?
In the spirit world, in the dream world, in the death world?
No, I haven't.
They always are the worldly?
Yeah.
I usually see faceless people.
I've never met anything otherworldly, ever.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I've only, in those realms, I've only, I think, met like otherworldly creatures.
Crazy.
The only dreams I've had that are ever slightly prophetic or I feel connected to the spiritual world are always actually quite vivid and quite boring. Like my sister's friend, he unfortunately died. He fell off a tower block and fell to his death.
Oh my god.
And during that night when he died, both me and my mum had very strange dreams. I had a dream that my sister and this guy, their other friend, this girl, I was going down to the kitchen just to grab a drink of water, and it was just a really banal dream, and I was just there filling up the glass by the big bay kitchen window, and she comes running up to the window, like screaming hysterically, and I wake up with a start. And at the same time, my mum is having a dream about a tower block falling down.
Fuck off, seriously?
And it would have been roughly about the time he unfortunately died. And this girl was there, like she was there when it happened.
Oh my god.
And so like it's just really strange that my experiences are always, they're never fantastical, they're always quite mundane and quite connected to the physical real world.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, see, how I kind of perceive it is I think that we share a lot of residual energy. I think there's energy that science can't really explain. And you know, like, I think we've all had that experience where we walk into a house and just instantly can tell if it's got a good or a bad vibe. And it's just something, you know, whether it is something that's happened in the spiritual world or the real world, but I can just tell when a house or an area has an energy that is just kind of vibing with me or not. And it's same even my partner's place. Like before it was done up, I thought, man, this has a real like bad energy about it. Like I do not feel comfortable in this place. But I could only explain it in a way as if it was an energy. Like it wasn't something that I could kind of quantify in the real world.
Yeah.
But when it was redecorated and renovated, it was gone. So it's just like whatever that was done kind of rectified the energy. Or, yeah.
Have you ever had premonitions?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, once. Unfortunately, my best friend died when I was 16. So I was just about to go into A-levels, and he visited me the night before he died. He had leukemia, he was ill anyway, so. But the night before, he visited me just to say, just so you know, I'm going now. Like, this is it, and just gave me a hug, and that was it. And then the next day, like in the middle of the day, that's when he went.
And so he knew?
I felt like he knew. Problem was, I was in Kent at the time, picking cherries, because what we used to do in the summer was my mum would take us down to Kent, and you'd get it was quite good. So there's these cherry fields, and you'd get, for every box you'd get £3. So if you could pick, like, say 30 boxes, you get about 90 quid a day. So it was pretty good money.
It's not bad, yeah.
And yeah, that's where I had the dream, in the tent on the field that we were staying at. So like I wasn't near him when it happened.
Oh, I thought you meant he actually came to you and.
No, in the dream.
It was a dream.
Sorry, yeah, I had the dream that he came to me.
Oh my god!
And said that he was going.
Because before I was stabbed, I knew it was happening. I knew it was going to happen, but I thought I was going to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Or I was going to get cancer that was going to kill me like within the next week or so.
Yeah.
I remember I went out with my friend. I was like, dude, we've just got to go out. And he's like, is anything wrong? I was like, not really, but I just got to go out with you. And we walked around. I sat him down on a bench and I said to him, at the time I was a super like sciencey guy. I never really gave a fuck about. I've always been a bit trippy, but I kind of ignored it.
Yeah. And
I said to him, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to die. I'm going to die within the next few days.
Fuck.
And he was just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think it was 2 days later.
Fuck.
We went to the park and then I was attacked. And I remember the first thing I said by the time I got on the floor, is I looked at him and I went, what did I tell you? And he started freaking out. He was like, don't say that, man, don't say that. He was really freaking out. I just knew it was going to happen. I had this crazy, like, otherworldly message, like, you're going to come to us, you're coming to us, it's time, you know, you're going to go.
Yeah.
And also I had a time where, before my grandma died, we'd visit her every weekend. And this one weekend, got in the car, and I only found out that my dad had the same feeling the other day when we were talking about it. I remember turning this corner and just going, this big like words coming to me, she's gonna die today.
Yeah.
And I was like, why today? She's gonna die today. We got there, and she died with us there that day.
Yeah.
And like, it's just weird, like how you know things sometimes.
It's strange because you hear about like identical twins that are like hundreds of miles away, and one dies and the other just instinctively knows when it happens.
Yeah.
They just get overwhelmed by a sense of dread, and it happens with, you know, even with close friends or people who are. But do you think it's possible, like what you were saying about your friend? I feel like it's possible to have a connection with someone that goes beyond like the physical world.
I mean, to bring it to science. I mean, do you know anything about quantum entanglement?
Yeah.
I don't know enough. Like, there's probably some physicists out there going, "Dude, shut the fuck up." But like, you know how no matter the distance, what happens to one atom?
They made a quantum
change
mirror.
yeah. I mean, maybe that can happen on larger scales.
Yeah.
And maybe consciousnesses can be linked within the quantum realm, but not in the physical realm.
Yeah.
Like we have to talk in the physical realm, but maybe in the non-physical realm we can sense things.
Yeah.
I feel like consciousness isn't rooted in the body. I think that's where we get shit wrong. Is that like we've got the body, we've got consciousness, and I feel like there's actually something beyond that too that we're aware of, but we just don't know what it fucking is. And like I feel like we're all so busy trying to survive that we don't really like get the chance to explore that part of ourselves.
Yeah, that's a big thing about like life, especially in London, and you know, do you have time to not be a capitalist machine?
Yeah.
On the cogs.
Which part of London did you grow up in? Was it Palmer's Green?
Yeah, North London, Enfield. Yeah, still there. But I might move now. I'm thinking of leaving actually.
Where to?
Bristol.
Oh, it's a really creative place.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure yet. But yeah.
I'll be sad to see you go.
I'll come back. I'll probably come back.
Oh no, man, like, do what makes you happy. That's more important.
But nah, man, I definitely feel what you were saying. So I think London is just this massive beast of consumerism, and it's almost impossible to not get entangled in it at times. And I feel like that, like I've always worked in central London, funnily enough, so I just see like it's at the heart of like tourism and capitalism, and it's just so easy to get kind of caught up in it. And I feel like it kind of does a lot to strip your consciousness away. I feel like technology's kind of going that way as well, whereas before the internet was a tool for good. I feel like...
I disagree actually.
Oh, do you? Oh.
I mean, the only reason I know about all this shit is because I can watch podcasts of people like us talking, and not the only reason, but like, I can't read. I suck at reading.
Yeah.
Like, the only way I find out about ancient history and mythology and science is through the internet.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
But I definitely see what you're saying too.
I think it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
Yeah.
Like most things in life, I think it's how you approach it and how you use.
No, we need an internet certificate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you an incel? Do you write using the caps lock? Can you spell?
Do you remember do you ever have MSN Messenger where people would type like one capital letter, then one lowercase, and
yes,
one uppercase?
I do.
They go, why would you go to the effort of doing that? It's just so much work.
They're like, there's like triple X's on each side.
Yeah, with the underscore, yeah. You're like, XXX underscore 420 blaze it, like, underscore. It's like every gamer tag ever.
Yes.
My email for the longest time, I'm a massive Cryptopsy fan.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
And Lord Word, man, I just think he's just one of the most unique vocalists.
Lord Worm's dope.
So it's just fucking, my email for a long time was like Lord Worm 138.
Yeah.
Fucking, and it was just, I was like, I should probably start to incorporate more professional email into my working life.
I changed my email when I had to give my email to the police, and it was the dumbest shit ever. It was like Squirrel Submarine. I literally did it 2 hours ago.
That's amazing.
And then I had to give it to him, and I was like, oh, please, no.
Running.
I'm now wearing a coat. Okay.
I'm now wearing a hoodie. And glasses.
Magic.
I can see now.
The cards have spoken. What's next? 7, 8. This guy.
One minute.
Ooh.
Or should I get the card of thirst or something?
The card of good hydration.
The cave.
Oh, the cave. You were talking about caves in the beginning, right? Talking about your
God, he does not look happy.
Is there a dude though?
Yeah.
Does it look? Oh my goodness! It's like a fetal.
He's like.
I've never seen this card.
Oh yeah.
Cave. This is a very. Was it 39? This is one of the 7 happenings. They depict events in our own psychology and in the outer world that suddenly transform our lives. The cave. A character is prostrate, facing away from the light in the gloomy recesses of a deep cave. This card stands for depression and despair. It symbolizes withdrawal into the self as a result of pain or grief. It can also mean introversion or loneliness and acts as a reminder to the inquirer that the light awaits after a period of healing darkness.
That's a pretty metal card, isn't it?
That's fucking brutal, yeah.
Yeah, you got death, you got the cave.
Black metal as fuck.
Do you relate to it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, That's really. Can you read that again?
Yeah, of course I can. You know what? I can go into the book.
Yeah, because
Seems like a really like introspective card.
because I don't feel like I'm in a cave or like this. You know, I don't feel like the man on the cover. Just it's been a long time since I felt like that.
So this is your past. So this could be something really far back in your childhood or something. So this is quite a long. It's like 2 days. 2 days? 2 days, 2 pages. I can either give you like the quick list of the things, but it's basically saying that the cave is about withdrawal, secrecy, the healing power of darkness. We go into caves for protection. We go out to change the world. There's a figure crouching in the cave, sheltered in the gloom, far from the entrance, where the sun does not penetrate. Interesting, it's below the sun. The position is fetus-like, and we cannot see if any clothes are worn. The cave is the womb from where we all came. It is natural enough that the earliest man sought caves as their dwelling, like the song. Not just because it gave them a roof over their heads, it provided safety from predatory animals and enemies. They had a vantage point because caves are set in hills, and they could scan the plain for their quarry and from the heights sally down to hunt and scurry back to safety. It reminds us that there are times in our lives when we need security and to go back inside ourselves before we can venture out again.
Yeah, I can relate to that now actually. Now you've read that more. I think with girls, that's actually how I'm relating to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so after my last relationship, like, I'd never been like this before. I just completely lost the care for it. Like, to be in a relationship with anyone, and that's fine. Like, I wasn't like worried about it. I wasn't like, oh
It's
no,
natural.
I'm never gonna be with someone. That's not what was going through my head. I was just like, yo, I really need time to be introspective actually, and a lot of that was like you said, it's a pretty black metal card. A lot of that was like just writing music and actually having time to just be like one with myself and not have to. Although it's normally a great thing having someone share your energy, it was kind of cool to just be alone. And the healing, I think it said in there, the healing force of darkness.
Yeah, the healing force of darkness.
I mean, that is like a super big part of my philosophy in general life. You know, I never feel like I'm in the cave, but like I guess because when I see the picture and hear it being spoken about, it doesn't feel like me, but I do take very often, almost every day, a moment to visit a place I don't want to go in my head or in my body, or I think adversity and it's a good thing. I think I go to the cave like all the time. And I think that's why I'm sort of just trying to figure out whether I was there or not, because I never feel like I'm like there for a long time, but I go there like every day, I think. And especially with like I said, with girls, like only now I think I'm starting to think like, hey, maybe I will actually, maybe I am ready to start seeing something.
I think, like, for me anyway, I think I always find that the best relationships is, because I think sometimes in your early relationships you tend to share everything and share your energy, but it's finding a relationship where you can actually coexist with separate energies and connect on certain levels, but you both have your own space and they're able to kind of do your own
problem
business.
I think with my last relationship is that I was happy with that. And again, this goes, I guess, to my very esoteric hobbies. And you see how we're talking today, this is honestly mostly how I talk.
Yeah.
I rarely talk about much else. And a lot of people don't give a fuck about that. So I think my energy was too separate. And although I was sharing a lot of energy, I don't think she could connect to mine. I felt the kind of thing like, ask me how my day is going. I'm not gonna. You don't know anything about this sort of stuff that I do. I can't tell you. I could tell you, but you won't care.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I need to be less in the cave actually when it comes to relationships. I just think it's hard to find someone. I get along with people really well, and that's my problem. Like I feel like I get along with a lot of people, and it's like, yeah, we have loads of fun together, and then, but when it comes to the actual meat of what makes us wake up every day, it's normally completely different things. Yeah. And I find it really hard to find people who give a fuck about aliens. Like, you know, aliens and vampiric blackmail, like, you know,
Yeah, relationships are really complex, especially if you're into something that is like consuming. If you're an artist, you're consumed by what you do and you don't have a choice. And like a lot of musicians I know would never date another musician because it's like you're never going to be first.
That's funny. I don't want to be first, and it's funny you say that because I've said that to almost every girl I've ever been with. I said I might love you, but I love riffs first. I love riffs more. Like I always have this joke if I'm ever, you know, if something doesn't work out, you know, I always say to my friends, it's just me and the riffs again, you know, because it always is. It's always more important, and like it sucks, but it is more important. I'd much rather have my art than have a.
How could a person compete with art?
They can't. They cannot.
Like art is cosmic and divine, and people can be too, but art is always going to be cosmic and divine. Like it's never going to cheat on you. It's never going to like turn around and say something that makes you feel alone. And
I also think if you were in a relationship with someone who felt cosmic and divine, that's a really bad sign. You know, like that's abuse material. If you feel like someone is cosmic and divine, I feel like that's why people get into like crazy codependent relationships where they are so like obsessed with each other, and it's like, oh, you mean everything to me. How could I live without you? I don't ever want to feel like that about anyone, but because music can't leave me because it's
people have different attachment styles, and I think it's quite uncommon to have the kind of one that you have. So naturally, it will be uncommon to find someone that will share that with you and like that will accept that kind of love.
I don't even want to have to talk to them every day.
Yeah, you know? That's really rare. But you'll find someone. There are people like that, and like if you can explain that to someone, they're more accepting of it as well. And I feel like you're very unique as a person. So
I feel like a lot of people agree and they don't know what they're really getting into.
I think that's the same with any relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty open when I go into a relationship. I'm like, this is all my crazy, and I lay it all out on the table. And then like, everyone's crazy. Everyone's got stuff that's weird about them. There is no one who's normal, and there's no one who's like not going to be in some way somewhat toxic. But the art is allowing yourself to see what you are and then work on that shit. And then
totally.
Like, there are times where I'm like, I'm doing the thing where I need to work on this thing, but here's where I'm at, and like I'm telling you I'm aware of it, and this isn't me being perfect. I'm wrong right now, but I need you to like
be there for it.
Yeah, like being vulnerable about your own like imperfections is like part, I think, of relationships that a lot of people can't take themselves into. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think I'm really good at doing that.
That's really good, man.
I mean, I know what I suck at relationships. Like, I know one of the things is time. Like, even if I sometimes I don't realize it, but so many people I love and like friends and stuff, even my family, they're like, bro, you've got no fucking time for us. And it's like, oh shit, you know, I didn't realize I wasn't talking to you. I just didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. But, yeah.
This is just... Sorry, I need to cough for a while. Breaking moods, mate. Trying to get that out there. One of the things I find is it's about meeting people halfway in relationships and compromise. It's funny, I was trying to follow up. It's fascinating. Every time I try and follow up a serious point, it's just stupid shit right before. I think it's when you are in a relationship and you want it to work, it's about kind of compromising, but not to the extent where you compromise your integrity and who you are as a person. I'm not even going to look at Shem right now. I was like, shit!
I know, I was trying not to look at you, man. Being halfway is obviously...
Just listen to the Black Eyed Peas song, Meet Me Halfway, I'll explain it then.
Oh my god.
Ah, shit.
You make a really good point, to be fair. It's very much true. I think there's a lot of like power dynamic and shit, and like I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard. Okay. Okay. I think I got it out. Yeah. That was.
Power dynamics are interesting because I don't actually understand that.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. Like how, like power. It just doesn't seem like a thing for me. Maybe it's just I haven't. Maybe that's my problem. That's a problem as well. I think maybe because I just don't recognize it. But I don't get it. Like how do power dynamics in a relationship? Like what even is that?
I think it depends on the context because I'm dating the guitarist of my band. I'm the manager of the band. So there are times where I'm being the manager of the band and my partner needs me to be a partner. And like we're at a show and I'm like, okay, you need to go here and do this, and they're like, wait, you're my girlfriend, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry, but I'm also the manager. Like, and there's times where that looks weird to people, and it looks weird to one of us. And like if we're writing something, and I'm like, no, this needs to be different, and I don't sound like a girlfriend.
You know, actually, I have had problems with power dynamics before.
Yeah.
I actually left someone super awesome because of it. Because I felt I didn't want to be in control and it kept putting me in control.
I see.
I really do believe in like sovereignty, and I couldn't imagine like me being a power, like that's what I was saying. I don't really get it because like no one can ever tell me what to do. They can make suggestions.
Yeah.
And
right?
I'll listen to them, but like how could you ever be a power over me? I know that might sound super cocky, but I genuinely just don't get it. Like.
I think a good...
I would.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
No. Power dynamics. Go ahead.
See, but like to me, this is not power. This is not a power thing.
It would have been if I spoke over you. If I continued, it would have been. I would have been like, no, fuck you. I'm going to speak. Right? Is that power dynamics? Do you think it is? I think it can be. It's the same.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But I think the only kind of people that would do that have power issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we stopped and tried to allow each other to talk because we don't have power issues, me and you.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like if you have power dynamics in the first place, it's kind of like something you should work out.
Right, and this is what I'm trying to do personally, is like, if that's something that's upsetting someone I'm with, I've been trying to address that directly. And I'm I'm changing the way I do things.
I mean, that's wicked because how I took it and how I take it from when people say it, which is just like my personal interpretation, is that like in every relationship there's like a power dynamic. And I'm like, bro, for me relationships have nothing to do with power. Like I just don't get it, but maybe it's just because, I don't know.
What if like a partner's earning significantly more than the other? Because I think that's the most common thing.
Oh.
I think that's the most common way it can present itself.
Well, the problem is you don't. Again, this goes to how I view relationships in a more general sense, but like they don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's not nice if you have no money and they have all the money and you're living together and it's like, oh, fuck, I'm reliant. That's not nice. I completely understand that. Like, people should be empowered within themselves to be able to do what they want. But also, that's not their problem. They could take it upon themselves, for example, to like just give you loads, for example, and say that's all yours, or give you part, but then you're still relying on them. I don't know.
I think
it's something that you have to. No one owes you anything. I don't even believe that if you're in a relationship, they owe you time, they owe you love, they owe you whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should be there with you because they want to do that, not because they owe you it, or because they.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be reversed in that sometimes the person who has more power gives something to the other person. They're like, I did this for you, you owe me. And it's like...
That is the worst.
Right.
I really don't like that.
Me too. Yeah.
I really don't like that because that's just total guilt tripping. And like...
It's a form of manipulation, right?
Yeah, it's hella manipulative.
Yeah.
And I understand that like loads of people would do that without even realising they're being manipulative.
That's usually how it happens, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, but like... Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to be upset, for example, if someone didn't feel like your partner didn't feel like talking to you that day, or they were too busy and they were just like, I don't want to talk to you. And I understand how that would be like, oh shit, I want you here. But that's your problem. You don't own their time, you don't own their life. And like, if they're choosing to share time with you, it's because they want to, and if they're choosing not to, it's because they don't want to. And like, I couldn't ever ask for some. I can suggest, but I could never like feel like anyone owes me anything. I don't know.
I think everyone's allowed to feel upset by stuff, but it's how you decide to act on that that will determine whether it's a negative situation, like a toxic situation. So like your partner needs to go and work on that album, and you're like, man, I really miss you, I want to spend some time with you, and they're like, I'm sorry, I need to work on this, it's really important to me, and you're like, I understand that, I feel like shit about it though. I think that is a reasonable thing to feel, but then if you're like
totally
punishing them for it, then that's different.
Yeah, exactly. And also something I think is perfectly reasonable is if you're like, no, I'm really feeling shit about this, please, can you just consider spending some time with me?
Then you'll meet
that
in the
is
middle.
totally fair.
Yeah.
Like, you should be allowed to ask things of your partners. That's fine. You should be allowed to like ask whatever you want.
Yeah.
But never expect it before it's offered.
Entitlement is like a death, a form of death.
Yeah, never be entitled to anyone's time or love or attention. I don't know. How do we get to that from the cave?
I don't know. Oh, girls.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the middle
You're
bit.
talking about
When we started laughing.
You said that you had a thing with an awesome girl, and because of something. Was it...
Oh yeah. Like I didn't want to make decisions for. I didn't like always being the one that made decisions. I felt bad about that, because I didn't like the power dynamic.
Were they too shy to make decisions or say what they wanted?
I believe so.
Okay.
But I handled it the totally wrong way. Like it just bugged me out, and But this is also the time I just quit taking my ADHD medication.
Oh, I see.
So I was in a totally weird place.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have done that.
Okay.
Almost certainly wouldn't have done that. But like, at the time I was like, yo, I cannot be responsible for you, or responsible for like your feelings or anything, like, yeah.
Oh man. Well, it sounds like maybe you weren't in the right place anyway.
It was just a flop of a time, to be honest. Like nothing was making sense because I was all like fucked in the head with it.
You were in the cave.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You
were waiting to come back out again. Yeah. All right.
I think we should go on to the next card.
Let's do it. So the next card is here.
Yes!
Wow, you got yes and no, and they're like literally opposite each other. Damn, you got some symmetry.
Cool.
Alright, let's read yes. Number 2.
Whoa! It's also, the cave and work are kind of opposite to each other, how we were talking. Because cave is like, remember I was saying work is all about my presentation of the outside world, and the cave is like the inside one.
And you've got the tower as well, and you've got like, there was talking about the sun, and the sun above the cave, and the cave is kind of like womb-like, and you were talking about seeing the sun earlier when you were like, in your experience.
Yeah, death is like the centre of my life, which is really weird.
Super interesting. It sounds like it is like how you relate to a lot of things. So yes, it's simple. Go ahead, a green light, an affirmative and positive card. The yes and the message in the case. It sounds like you're like you did stuff right, even though it might not have gone I don't know. That's my ignorant interpretation. Is perhaps.
I wouldn't say it's ignorant.
Okay.
I don't believe in doing things right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that exists.
Do you feel like you made the right choices, or you did things the way you're happy with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, although, when we were off camera, I was talking about that guilt. I mean, I'm glad that I can recognize that as guilt. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I would go back and change it. It's just, yeah, I don't regret anything, and I don't. Yeah, I guess. I like the word yes. I think I'm a pretty optimistic person. Like, I like that. Yeah, I think that's as far as that one goes.
Yes, I mean, you can't take it super duper.
That's funny because I feel like, irrespective of whether you have guilt over a decision or something you've done in the past, like it's everything you've done has led you to the point you are currently. And like if you had done anything differently, it's like the butterfly effect. It would have had changed everything to a point where you'd be in a completely different state. So
I don't even know if I believe in free will. So I find it really hard to be guilty, which is maybe a massive problem of mine, but it hasn't really been so far.
I don't think it needs to be a problem.
I don't think it's a problem, but I genuinely don't feel guilty about anything because I don't even know if I believe in free will.
Yeah.
I think the only time it would be a problem is if you didn't take responsibility.
That's completely different to guilt, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Responsibility and guilt are different things.
And it sounds like you have taken responsibility.
I hope so.
Because you've learned from stuff and you've changed, you've grown from things. So even if that's the thing, I think sometimes people use it as an excuse, but you're not doing that, so it's a good thing.
Cool.
Yeah. Next card. So liberation.
Yeah, liberation.
Oh, nice.
I like the look of that card.
What number is it? 38.
38.
This is one of the 7 happenings. They depict events in our own psychology and the outer world that suddenly transform our lives. This is coming up. Liberation.
I'm sorry, I completely zoned out. What were you saying? I was thinking about why is my neck sore?
Oh damn! Maybe you're wearing you're wearing 2 necklaces. Maybe it's or maybe.
They're quite light.
Are you dehydrated?
I don't know. Recently, I've been getting pains in the side of my neck.
It could be your glands.
Oh, they were actually a little bit swollen last week.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm fine there.
Okay. We'll just look at you like, oh no.
Should be okay.
Oh, we'll find out.
There was holding for a day.
I'm sure it's fine. It's probably something minor. It's winter, isn't it? Okay. So this is one of the 7 happenings, is what I was saying, which are events that in our own psychology in the outer world that suddenly transform our lives. And this is interesting given what you were just saying. The description of the card is a pair of lovers dash on horseback through the open fortress gateway across a bridge to freedom. Here is depicted the joyous escape from a constricting situation. It stands for those occasions where often by some outside agency we are somehow set free to make a new life. However, note that although the key is in the lock, there is no bolt. Therefore, the card also represents those situations where we do have the ability to release from within ourselves. So they're running away from a prison, but there was no. The door wasn't locked, so it's your own. Maybe it's like your cave. It's your inner prison.
I think the only way I can relate to that is possibly about excitement for starting a new life and starting to really realise that although I'm young, I actually am of age to do whatever I want, and to actually really become free financially is kind of what I want to do now. It's that's exciting to me. I want to be able to move out and make whatever I want in my life.
Yeah.
I guess I used to have a real idea of my life before. Because I always did well at school, even though I fucking hated it. I always got good grades, so it's pretty much straight A's up until probably year 13.
Yeah.
And then with the whole ADHD thing, it's easy if you're I feel like I was naturally good at the tests and stuff.
Yeah.
But that only gets you so far. Because I would always fuck around. I was always getting kicked out. I was always bunking and stuff. And then after a certain point, it's I can't get kicked out. I can't bunk and still pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I started to realise as I tried to like stay in the lessons, I was like, actually, I know why I'm always getting kicked out. I know I'm bunking, and I had to completely change my expectations for life because I kind of had this idea of like being, like making good money and like having a nice house. And now my expectations for life have like completely changed.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for me because I had to realise that I actually couldn't do that through traditional means. If I wanted to have like live a wealthy life, which I actually really don't care about now, I'd have to do it through non-traditional means. I'd have to find my own like way. I think that was a really hard thing for me to do like last year, because I was going through some job applications for some places and going pretty well, and they were pretty like decent things, and like I was right at the end, I was like, yo, do I actually want to do this? No, I want to be a fucking musician.
Yeah.
I'm going to be broke as shit for like, all my life, and like I might look. You know, there's memes where it's like my friends are 30 and they've got like houses and kids, and it's like me at 30 and I'm singing about goblins in my room. It's like, I want to do that, and I think that was the biggest thing that I can see is like actually stepping into like a new expectation for what my life is going to be.
Do you feel like the education system kind of helped propagate this idea that there was only one type of success and it was only achieved through being...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, people always say like, even my own family, they don't say that anymore. Like, they really don't. But, and I totally get why they would. But you know, yeah, we know you like music. We know you want to do it. But like, what are you gonna do? You know, like, get a real job or like, you know. I remember. Like, bless him, I love him. Like, but my dad was saying he kept like using his colleagues as comparisons for like what I could be.
Yeah.
So he was saying like, like some of my colleagues they have bands, like they play on the weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can still do that. It's like, no, I don't want to just fucking play on the weekend, dude. I want to like, yeah. You know. So my school were really accommodating with me. It got to a point where I was like, yo, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And they were just like, okay. If I was in lessons, like I would just stand up and leave, and they wouldn't beef me about it. They just let it happen because although the education system as a whole, I don't think shows you any other way.
Yeah.
My school in particular were really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Like I explained to them that I'm like totally losing my mind in this classroom. Like I have to leave, otherwise you'll just kick me out anyway because I start doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
And they were really cool about that. But they didn't give me any other alternatives to what to do with life. They just basically said, yeah, you can't do this. Yeah.
I could almost sense that conflict in a lot of the teachers sometimes, because a lot of them. So I often used to think to myself, especially now, like when you know how, well, frankly, shit the UK education system is, why would you then become a part of it, knowing that you're never going to be able to really change it because it's an issue that's so systemic?
It's like the police as well.
Yeah, exactly. The police are exactly the same. It's like any institution, but like, you know, there's people that go in there, and, you know, in a way, I think I respect them for going in and trying to make a difference, but you can sense that conflict in them sometimes, especially with a lot of my teachers, until they didn't agree with the curriculum, but they knew that they had to stick to that.
I think teachers are awesome. Like anyone who wants to like teach kids and help kids is that's awesome, right? I mean, like I don't know if teachers liked me, but I thought they were great, and but yeah, I kind of do get it. It's like, what are you supposed to do when there's a child like me in your class?
Yeah.
You know, like I was a pain in the arse.
Sometimes it's better just to let people go and then say, yeah, well, you
and I think that's what they did eventually. They were just like, all right, dude, to be honest, I'd rather you not be here. And like, but that in doing that, they were actually helping me.
That's really cool. To let you go, liberate you is what you needed.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was a big deal for me.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I was very straight-laced at school. I was like, in my background, like from an early age, it was like you're going to Cambridge or Oxford. And I was like, I kind of felt pressure. I got straight A's throughout my entire. I was like the top of the class always, and then like my worst subjects. I remember once I got like 99% in the test, the maths test. My dad was like, he yelled at me, and I cried.
Wow.
Because I got 99%. That's like the kind of
Yeah.
like shit I had to deal with. And it wasn't until I was in a PhD that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I dropped out of the PhD at King's College to be like, I'm doing music.
Wow, that took a long time.
It took I was like 21. It was like.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How did you get to do a PhD at 21?
I didn't do a gap year or anything. I just went straight through the
Right,
systems.
okay.
I did like masters straight after I graduated and like, yeah.
Just kept going.
And like honestly, I feel like a failure for not going to Oxbridge. Like, and that's how my parents kind of, not my mum, but my dad. Like, I remember I was graduating, and I only got a 2-1 because I was working. I've been working at least 2 jobs since I was 16, basically. So I was working during uni. And my dad, on my graduation, he was like, why did you only get 2-1? So, like, I have really mixed feelings about the education system and, like, how people treat it in this country. Especially if you want to, like, go into the arts.
Yeah, that's, I mean, first of all, like, well done for actually getting that far, but also, like, that sucks. That it took you so long to, like, because of the social pressure and, like, family pressure to, like, allow yourself to be who you are.
That's the thing. Like, I love academia. I actually loved that aspect of school. But at school, I was like, can I learn Latin and Greek? I want to learn ancient languages. My teachers were like, we don't do that here. And, like, they didn't support the other spectrum of like, autistic nerds like me who just wanted to, like, read about ancient shit and like. It's
the same thing with me. It's the same thing. I love learning. I love like I literally when I'm not making music, I actually spend all my day like researching. I love maths. Like I love maths more than a lot of math like students do.
Really?
You know, yeah, I fucking love maths.
Like
I love
geometry
physics.
and, like,
yeah, geometry's dope. Like I just love all this stuff, right? And I'd go into lesson and I'd be like talking to the teacher, like, oh yeah, I did this stuff, and then we sit down and then I'm like. Throwing pencils. It's just a complete, like, different, like a complete contrast. And one thing, oh yeah, talking about Oxbridge.
Yeah.
So I used to get put in like these gifted and talented groups, and then always get kicked out. And I remember that we had like a gifted an Oxbridge meeting for all the kids that they wanted to go, and they were like really encouraging us. And I sat at the back, like as always. And I used to do this really dumb thing where when the teacher wasn't looking, I would see how long I could pretend to ride a bike before they would like. So it's so dumb. I don't know how I could. Do you mind if I lean up against the wall?
No, go for it.
Like, I mean, it's really dumb juvenile shit. Like, but I was so bored that I used to do this. I used to lean against the wall and go. And then they'd always see me and just like. I remember. Like, I actually did, at the time, I still wanted to go to Oxford or Cambridge. They were just like, dude, get the fuck out. And I remember standing outside like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me, because I want to go here, and as soon as I get to a meeting where I'm like, they're giving me leaflets and information, I'm still fucking around. Like, yeah. So although I'm bummed that I'm not studying physics, I'm not studying maths or computer science, I loved coding. I'll just study on my own.
That's the thing, once you realise you can just do it yourself, it's kind of a bit more liberating, isn't it? Well, do it on my own terms.
Yeah, I don't actually really want, I don't give a fuck about having a certificate. I don't care about having a certificate about like maths or physics. Like, I still keep up with the conversations that I have with people that like that stuff too, so that's all really matters to me.
The thing that got me was like, I went through the system to try and get to a PhD, because I was like, a PhD you can choose what you do. And I did, when I was at uni, I was writing essays about black metal. Like, I legit just did research into like music, but also like art and theology. And I twisted this, when you're at that stage, you can twist stuff to do what you're interested in, which is like so satisfying. But I still met with people who were constantly trying to put you into boxes. Like, why don't you write about colonialism and feminism? I'm like, this is all like legit stuff to write about, but I want to write about this.
Yeah.
I want to write about like othering in Lord of the Rings. I did my dissertation on Lord of the Rings, undergrad, and then like I just became obsessed with Blake because he's the most fucking metal poet in the world. Yeah. And I got to like PhD level, and my fucking tutor was like, "Can you write about feminism?" Because that's all she knew about. And like feminism, I'm a feminist. I support feminism, but I don't want to spend 4 years doing feminism and Blake. I'm going to do Blake and ancient cults, which is what I was writing about.
That
and, like,
sounds way cooler.
There's no fucking like funding on that shit, man. Like, so I was, I couldn't do it, and I realized that like I went to like a conference, and there was this guy, and my ex like fucking with academics, and he just started making up fake books, and was like, oh, what do you think about Durura? And the guy just started talking about this book that didn't exist, as if he was an expert in this book, and his whole field of study was the author. And he just started making it up because he didn't want to say he didn't know something or be like, what are you talking about? And then I was just like...
Jokers, man.
I was like, well, fuck, man. Like, everyone's just making it up.
Yeah.
Like, no one really cares. They're just doing it to, like, fight for funding and, like, show each other, like, how big their peacock feathers are. And, yeah, it just killed.
That's a real bummer.
Yeah.
I can imagine that is a fat bummer.
Yeah, and, like, I didn't go... For my undergrad, I didn't go to Oxford because I wanted to stay in London for the gigs. And then for like masters and PhD, I was like, I want to go now, and I applied. And the only fucking reason they didn't let me in was they didn't have like supervisors that dealt in the shit I wanted to do. It was so depressing. This is so boring. I'm so sorry.
But this is good because this is why. I mean, again, like realistically, like how much time have me and you spent together?
Yeah, like not
like,
that much.
Not that much. And I was saying this to Shem, but like here we are today, supporting each other in these things. You know, like we can. We don't need the establishments to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I'll talk about more about this off camera. There's something I want to talk to you about.
But yeah, like education is free with the internet now, and like you can take this into your own hands. And if anyone wants to knowledge from any of us here, because like people are walking libraries, man. There's so much knowledge you can get just from talking to someone that is far more valuable than some like person in a conference room making up shit about a book that doesn't exist and trying to pass it off as like arcane knowledge.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Jimmy Kimmel clips where he done it at festivals? He got a reporter out to make up bands.
Yes, at Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I was like, have you ever heard of like this? Oh, like Big Weasley. Yeah, I love Big Weasley. So what about Little Weasley? So his flow's sick, his flow's sick. What? It's just completely made up. But people are just so desperate to want to know this. I'd love to do it at a metal festival to see how many people would come.
It's weird because I don't think I would. I always, personally, I think I would just be like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
But like, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. Like, I'm a human too. Like, maybe I would be one of those people that would say that. I don't think I would be, but might happen.
Sometimes I'll just say I don't know a band so people don't gatekeep me.
Yeah.
So like next time a woman says she'll know a band, maybe she does.
Yeah.
It's a mystery now. I've hopefully blown some minds. This is the next card.
Reverse.
Skulls.
Oh, is that the skills or the skulls?
Skills, I think.
Skills.
The skills.
Wow,
but
shows what my mind's at.
I mean, yeah, number 9. I've never seen this card as well. You're drawing some interesting cards. So number 9 is one of the 4 direction. Nope, 7 fundamentals. My bad. These cards describe the areas of our lives that are common to us all, the everyday things appertaining to our background and environment, which are so important. The skills: a taut stringed crossbow with arrows in a quiver, and 2 arrows which are stood upright in the grassy earth. The arrows symbolize the skills with which we are born, and those we acquire through education. The card therefore denotes our talents, sporting prowess, expertise, cleverness, and the equipment we use at work and play.
That is so fitting.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
We naturally just went on to the next card. Did you even realise?
Yeah. We were one step ahead of these spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, spirits.
Yeah.
Do you think it's subverted because of your experience at school?
I mean, could be. Could you read the last bit again? Like the
card therefore denotes our talents, sporting prowess, expertise, cleverness, and the equipment we use at work and play.
I guess. I mean, I don't actually think there's anything else I have to say about this because I've already said it. Yeah.
You find that happens. That seems to happen quite a lot with these cards, where we'll talk about a topic and then it will just come up right afterwards. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And maybe these spirits are not so bad. There's 12 is over there.
Now.
Oh, that's another direction card. Now. That's literally the stuff that's happening to you, going to come to you, so that's pretty apt. The picture shows a reaper cutting the ripe corn beneath the sun. It is a favourable time for action. The moment is ripe. The time has come to take in the harvest of that which you have sown. Your album's gonna do well.
I fucking hope so.
Yeah.
It's taking me ages. But yeah, I feel like I'm feel like the effort I put comes back. And I'm super lucky because I know a lot of people don't, especially artists, a lot of people don't feel that way. But I 100% feel like what I'm doing is going to come back and be worth it.
How was it, because you kind of released it early March, right? Just as all the lockdown stuff was happening.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. We couldn't even play the shows. It's like I looked at it and I was like, wait, we released it this year? What? It feels like we've not released, what? It feels like ages ago because it's so not in my head.
Yeah.
Because we can't play the shows. Because there's been no shows. We're not really rehearsing the old stuff that much. We're just writing new stuff. It's kind of like, here's an album, okay. And then we just completely left it.
Yeah.
Mentally anyway. Yeah. So it's weird, when things start happening again, we're gonna have to pick it up again. But I don't feel like it was an unlucky time to release it.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna be there. And if we do a tour, people can still wait. It doesn't have to come out when we promote it, you know? I mean, half the albums I found that I absolutely love came out years ago. It really doesn't have to be a big release. Yeah.
It's like what you were saying before, I suppose, about how the internet is a tool for good, because sometimes you'll discover, like me and Shem, we were talking about like ancient death metal albums that we just never heard of, and stuff from the 90s. So how comes I've never heard of this? And but yeah. What sort of tracks are you looking forward to performing live off the album? Or?
We've actually played all of them live already. In our last few shows, because the album was supposed to come out way before. We actually already did a release tour, but it was short, and we could just thought, fuck it, let's totally do another one when it actually releases. And I actually love playing the entire thing. Newborn Caveman does get me very emotional live. I really love playing that. I love it all, to be honest. Absolutely love playing it all.
That's a track that has it transitions into the quieter segment towards the end. Right, that's cool. I like that bit.
I need to reread the lyrics for that. It's been a long time. I actually don't remember them off the top of my head. But I know it's about so the theme of the album as a whole is, although I really like the whole satanic metal thing, we were like, nah man, fuck the devil. We had a song called Satan Looks Up to Me that didn't go on the album.
Yeah.
And we just thought let's write an album about going to hell and killing Satan, going to heaven, going to heaven and killing God, and just having Earth rule.
That's cool.
And then the caveman is the newborn caveman is the first human after the heavens and hells have disappeared, and it's kind of again it's a metaphor for rebirth of humanistic experience and human experience and passion. And although obviously this whole time we've been speaking about the spirit world and all of that, I think it's very important to know that it's a personal thing, and it really, really, really gets me when people talk as if it's applicable to other people.
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm fine with Christians and Muslims and whatever, as long as it's got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? And I think my thoughts and feelings about that go a bit deeper.
Yeah.
Just I hate people saying that I'm gonna go to hell, and it's the most insulting thing.
Yeah.
I believe that you deserve eternal pain. It's that's the biggest fuck you ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it annoys me and my drummer enough that we were yeah man, let's just not ever talk about traditional religion ever again and write an album about it. About just destroying that, because it's just so old. It's awesome. I still love metal about that.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to contribute to the whole traditional religion stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it was important enough for us that we were and inspiring enough that we had songs like Soaring the Heads Off Angels and Demons, and like.
That's a sick title, by the way.
It's just fun, yeah. And like in the song, it's like Satan's quivering. He sees me, and he's like shaking, and I'm like, I've got his like children on chains, and like on the t-shirts, it's like an angel and a devil hung on their heads cut off,
on pikes,
hung on off a chain.
Oh, sick.
And the whole album was about human supremacy. I don't really believe in supremacy, but it's just about like being a person on this planet and not like taking responsibility. Don't know how we got there again.
The skills. This is the last card on this row, and then you've got your behind and your forward.
The beauty.
Ooh, the beauty.
That's
the
another
skills
level
of the beauty. 27. Alright. That's one of the 7 characteristics. Different aspects both of our own personalities and those around us and the parts they play in the drama of our lives. The beauty. A beautiful woman in a fine Tudor-style gown is seen looking at her reflection in a mullioned window, as if she is waiting to make her entrance and checking her appearance. This character stands for the element of passion and romantic love. For men, it can mean a love affair of the sort that inspires great art. For women, it can point to a flowering of the awareness of her sexuality or the presence of a rival in love. The card can have implications of danger, and one aspect of the face of beauty can be a demanding whore. That's what it says. I forgot about that.
Could you reread the bit that it says for men, what that's supposed to be?
Yeah, of course. For men, it can mean a love affair of the sort that inspires great art.
I'm always inspired by romance.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm hella inspired by romance, and I make music about it all the time. Post that clarity.
PNC.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, I actually think so far I've given you guys a pretty like negative outlook on my relationship life and on my love life, but I've had great times, you know what I mean? Like it's awesome. It's not I don't have a bad relationship or a bad like mental imagery about like girls or like sexuality or anything really. It's like not now. Yeah, it's awesome. I love feeling things with people. Like it's sick and it's super inspiring. So yeah, I totally feel that.
Beauty's an interesting one. I think it is quite applicable to performers as well. Because she's like about to make an entrance and she's checking her appearance. I don't know if you feel that way before you go on stage. Do you like...
Well, we paint our faces actually. So in a way we alter our appearance because we want people to see us a certain way. But I never want to paint and think that girls are gonna love this. You know?
Chicks dig cold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I kind of want to put that on a t-shirt just to piss people off. It's like so. Yeah. Anyway,
I'd wear that t-shirt.
Chicks dig cosplay.
Yeah,
That is such an ironic.
You can have like a long sleeve. It's got like different corpse paint configurations.
Oh yeah.
Sleeve.
Chicks dig it.
We've got like the ABBA, the classic Gorgon.
Yeah.
The worst one was I saw Dark Funeral once. It was a Bloodstock. They were playing during the day and it was really hot. And like I think Lord Araman, I think his name is the singer, and he has like panda style, so it looks like more like a member of Kiss.
Like
that person, and it was so hot, it was all like dripping down, and it just looked actually made it look more brutal because it was like
we used really shitty paint in the first line. We used like Snazaroo, which is the least.
I hate Snazaroo.
So like non-brutal to be like painting your face with like kids smiling on it. You're like, fuck yeah, and that shit like just melts into your eyes. It's so painful. It's like someone squeezing like lemons in your eyes. And we've played shows basically blind.
Oh my god.
I remember once when drummer opened his eyes and he couldn't see anything. So much shit in his eyes. And he kept like hitting me with his drumsticks. Going, yo, wait. And like wiping his shit off.
No.
We basically had none on at the end. We were like, yo, we need to get like
setting powder.
proper paint.
You need setting powder.
No, we used that and everything, and it still
Really?
didn't work. No, I mean, we're sweaty motherfuckers. And we ended up going to like a film, like a shop that like has things for like visual effects and like a film thing, and it's grease, it's not paint. So we actually use black grease. So that doesn't come off when you sweat, because the sweat just like runs off it. Because it's like, what's the word?
It's an emulsion.
Emulsion?
So it like runs off it, because it's like, it's suspended in oil, I think.
Yeah.
Hydrophobic.
Hydrophobic, that's it. I was going to say hydrophonic, and I was like, that sounds, no, that's not right. Yeah. I was trying to remember.
Corpse paint.
Yeah.
Running into your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that experience with mascara and eyeliner. I don't wear eyeliner when I perform. And I had one show, and it was a hot show, and everything went in my eyeballs. All my makeup, all the mascara, and I was like streaming, tears were streaming down my face. I just tried to pass it off as like intense emotion. But really, it was just stinging really badly.
It's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks.
You're trying to like concentrate on the performance, but you can't.
Yeah,
It's
just like, it hurts.
ow! Yeah. I remember trying to like, look at the crowd and shout with them and be like, because I'm really interactive with the crowd when our shows. Like, I love like getting up in people's faces. Like I'll be playing and so I'll just pick someone and I'll just like, I'll just stare at them and I'm like, ah! And I just start doing dumb shit like that. But I couldn't do it because I was just like.
Do you feel a change in who you are?
No, totally not.
You're just the same
I'm just way more one part of me. That's what suffering definitely for me. It's like a huge extenuation of like my.
What part of you is that?
I call it like my masculine energy. That's what it feels like for me. It's like, because a lot of the songs now, this is what we're trying to talk about more now, is like I really for some reason connect to like the hardship of primitive life, and. Again, there's actually real interesting studies about ADHD being actually just from hunter-gatherers. So you know, obviously there had to be like a group of people to first do agriculture, and you know, they all had babies together and stuff, but throughout time, obviously hunter-gatherers and agriculture people have always been.
It's like ADHD versus OCD, because you have OCD, you're way better suited to be a farmer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not suited to be. Like at the moment, the hunter-gatherers are not ruling the world. It's the agriculture people are like,
you got to be on time. You got to work on the clock.
Yeah, and that's not how I am. Like I see something and I have to chase it, or I have to do something, or like you know, there's a rustle in the bushes. I'm not listening to what you're saying. I don't know what the hell you're saying. I'm looking at that bush, and there's really good evidence for that. And there's something about nature that just gets me. Like really, like I feel so much better there than I do like.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people feel like this, but there's a lot of evidence to show with the ADHD thing, and I just get like a real kick out of the idea of like hunting, and I've always thought it was awesome, you know, and like surviving and being in a place where I could die at any moment. I mean, we are in London, but
I'm gonna go full Joe Rogan and be like, have you ever done martial arts? Like, martial arts is sick. I used to love getting the shit beaten out of me. Like I was saying earlier when we were outside, I'm not a violent person. I fucking love violence, but I'm not. I don't want to cause pain, which is the thing. I love fighting. I absolutely love fighting. I'm cool to get the shit beaten out of me and like for me to beat my friends up and stuff. I don't want to hurt people with malice, but I love the action. And my club I went to was a dodgy club. Like, what did you train?
Mixed martial arts, but we did a lot of Krav Maga.
I did that too. I didn't do Krav Maga.
And we did a lot of weapons stuff.
Nice.
I love the weapons stuff, and we just beat the shit out of each other, and I'd be bleeding, and people would be knocked out, and it's like that's not allowed in.
That's not very traditional.
It's not. It wasn't traditional at all. He was teaching us how to fuck people up, nothing else. And he was like, even part of the lessons were like how to talk to the police, what you're allowed to do to someone, and what you're not, in what situation. Like it was a real like practical.
That's interesting.
And I loved going and just getting my ass kicked by people like 10 or 5 years older than me. But like, we had a thing where if you decided how hard you'd go right before the fight, you know, no one could. Like the sensei would be like, it's completely up to you. I'm not here to tell you, no, stop.
Yeah.
It's your choice. You need to figure that out for yourself. And every single time I was like, yeah, let's try and kill each other, man.
Yeah.
And I'd get murdered. Like, among my age group, I was doing pretty well, but I'd always try and fight the older guys and just lose every time. And I just fucking love it, you know. Some of my fondest memories of schools are like smacking the shit out of people because they've been like most of the time racist.
Yeah.
And it's like, that sounds really weird because I always say I'm not a violent person, and I'm not. I never look for violence, but if it's there, I'm like, yeah, let's go, you know.
Kind of primal, isn't it?
It's totally primal, and I realised that like I definitely connect to like a very like apish kind of dude. Like I love loud noises, I love smashing things, I love being with my boys, being like, ooh, and that's what Sufferer is about. Because I can't do that in my daily life. It's like getting up in people's faces and making loud noises and singing about like getting fucking killed by a tiger. You can see how excited I am just talking about it. Like, it's dope, and my day-to-day life is this. You know?
Yeah.
But inside I feel like an animal.
It's like a beast waiting to come out.
Yeah, I mean bestial black metal. It's like that's the genre that we love, and just feels
I feel
right
like
for me.
every time I listen to Revenge, you must know Revenge.
Oh
right?
yeah, dude, yeah.
That shit just gets me pumped. I'm like, whoa.
Man, that's what I love. I mean, like, most of the time when I walk around, like in my ears, all that's in there is. You know, it feels right for me that in my daily life that energy just like needs to be there. Otherwise I start getting stupid and I start doing dumb shit. Like, I start like doing really risky stuff that could kill me, you know.
It's like a conduit for that energy that you need to express that isn't allowed.
I've got full on hooligan energy, I really do.
Yeah.
I've got hooligan energy, and I need the music to just get it out of me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a release, though, man. I think that's the thing I miss most this year is just going to gigs, man, and just feeling that primal like energy sort of surge through you. Even though like I feel like I'm way too beat up to ever venture into the mosh pit these days, but even just being around it, I kind of like suck away the energy of other people being violent, and that kind of like that's good enough for me at this stage.
That's exactly what I mean about like I love violence, but I don't want to hurt people. It's like a pit is a great example of that. It's like everyone's just fucking you know, getting it out of them, and it's not a hate thing. It's not a malice. It's just energy, and I think everybody has that energy, not just men. I know I said it's a very masculine thing for me, but that's how I identify with it. Like, I feel like we never, like, it's such a, I don't know, like, you know, the, what's it called, like, the hacker? You know, I think, is it what it called? The New Zealand, with the dance.
Oh, yeah, hacker, yeah.
Like, that's the thing they do, like, when their friends die and stuff. It's like, it's a real big part of their, I believe, and there's probably someone in New Zealand being like, mate, but I think that's what they do.
It's part of their culture.
It's part of their culture, and that's like a very, like, you know, we don't have anything like that. We're all supposed to...
We have cricket.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that appeals to, like, dudes like me who want to fuck shit up and, like, be like,
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that I can get that from is extreme metal. And... Or the alternative is, like, gangs, or being like a football hooligan, which is basically the same thing, or... You know, there's no other place to get action safely. Yeah. I can't get action safely. Oh, martial arts.
That's how I found it.
Yeah.
Because like I've always been super aggressive. It's like it's not part of me that is like super up there right now because I've been so sick. But since I was a kid, I like martial arts and swords and trucks and action bands. And I love feminine things too. But like that's what I loved metal is it's so aggressive. When I was at school, I was like, "Can I do rugby?" And they're like, "No, you're a girl."
What?
I was like, "Let's do rugby, man." I wanted to do like wrestling and shit, and they wouldn't let me do that.
That's fucking awesome.
And then when I was like, the moment I wasn't allowed by my family, obviously, because I'm supposed to be like a prim and proper, like, you know, Middle Eastern girl. But yeah, the moment I hit 18, I was like, I'm fucking training now. I trained like as much as I fucking could. It was the best.
That's so cool.
It's so, honestly, like, because I don't even feel like I can go into a pit without getting my arms and legs broken, because I'm a small person. And, like, I don't want to put someone in a situation of, like, accidentally hurting me, so I'm really easy to hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm injured very easily. But yeah, no, like, it is, I totally relate to that, and I don't think I'm sure it's very common, but I also think that a lot of people don't feel like they can express it. Is that
I totally agree. I just don't think there's many ways that people know how to express it without lashing out or being self-destructive.
Yeah.
And I do have to be careful with it though, because my friends, you know the whole like caveman meme, like caveman riffs and stuff. Like, but my friends, they really do like. They always say that like when I drink, like I become like a caveman, and I never get. I never get violent with people, but there have been a few nights where I'm like climbing shit and I'm at the top and I'm like, way! And then I do get down, or I'm like, you know, breaking things or like, oh, won't this be funny? And then just like jumping on the table, just like really dumb shit.
Do you know how the Benin bronzes were acquired by the British Museum?
What's that, Benin?
So there was a kingdom in Africa called Benin. And I think this was in like the 1790s when the British were there. They found this kingdom, like they'd never had any contact with them. Actually, maybe it's a bit later because this is during the time I think they had machine guns. This is the first time they had guns that were automatic. And they went into this kingdom. The first contact they'd ever had with these people who'd never in their whole culture or history had experienced any interaction with guns. And they killed every single person. They just shot down everyone in like the capital city, and they walked into the palace and they saw all of these like some of the most advanced art at the time, like globally, some incredibly advanced sculptures and bronzes, which like they didn't understand how they'd been made, and they were like, black people can't have made this; they must have stolen it, so we're going to take it back. And the Benin bronzes are now in the British Museum, and you can go and they're in the Africa wing, sponsored by Sainsbury's. And if you go and you look at the bronzes, they do not tell you how they acquired those bronzes. They do not tell you that they literally
I have a really
committed
fucking
genocide.
love-hate relationship with the museums because
I volunteer for the British Museum.
Oh no, you're one of them!
My master's degree was half taught by the British Museum. I've been in their archives and collections, and I wrote an essay about colonialism that was marked by a British Museum curator who marked me down. Yeah, because in this essay I was like, there's an Aztec mirror in the Enlightenment Gallery, and it was owned by John Dee, and this mirror was taken from a tribe in South America that was obviously killed. This was a looted object, and they described this mirror as like the mirror, the divination mirror of John Dee. They don't say shit about it, about how it was acquired. You know, by fucking Cortez killing countless numbers of people, and like the colonization and the destruction, systematic destruction of culture in that part of the world. And you know, this mirror has so much, thousands of years more history than the small period of time during which John Dee was divining from it. And John Dee was the man who invented the term British Empire. He was the person who turned to Queen Elizabeth I and was like, you should cultivate the idea of the British Empire. And that is how it fucking started.
Oh, that's like the start to the worst story ever. Like,
yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad story.
No,
I mean, like a fucking terrible time. Like,
yeah.
So like, I'm so glad I can go and see all these crazy things, and like I can get interested in ancient history, and then just go and see the thing the next day after researching it. But I'd much rather not being able to have that privilege and it be in its rightful place.
Yeah.
I'd rather have to travel to like Egypt to see this stuff than have the convenience of it, because it's actually terrible. It's really sickening and really sad, like how
when you go to Egypt,
barbaric it was.
If you were to, I've been, and if you go to the Sphinx, the reason there are holes in the Sphinx is because the British troops would use it as a shooting target.
No.
Yeah, it's covered in bullet holes for that reason. And like a lot, if you walk around, it's honestly, I had moments where I was crying because I could see what like the holes that people had drilled into the ruins and where they've like looted things and taken things. And I have a complex relationship too because I can't go to Iran, and some of the only places I can see Iranian things are in museums. But I'm also just like, you fucking stole this. Like this doesn't belong here.
Yeah, it's not cool, is it?
Yeah.
But you know who touched upon that, and then the Benin bronzes specifically? Black Panther, the movie.
Really? I haven't seen it.
At the beginning of the Black Panther, Killmonger, who's the villain, who's like the most sympathetic villain ever, goes into the British Museum and he's looking at the Benin bronzes.
No.
But basically they kind of modified it that the items are from Wakanda, which is the fictional
Oh,
country in Africa.
see.
But like they really like blew the whistle on that shit
That's
in that
interesting.
movie. Yeah.
I mean that's cool, but it'd be cool if they could just blow the whistle in Hollywood properly.
Yes.
I'm not
it's always
after
half
the
measures.
news.
Yeah. It's from a mythical world. It wasn't really the Africans. It was the Black Panther Africans.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
The ones that the white man invented.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the cool Africans, guys.
It's our narrative.
Yeah,
now.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, that's kind of why I haven't watched that movie. Is like I don't want to watch it and then have a problem with it. I'd rather just let it sit.
I watched it and it was okay. I didn't think it was
Okay.
a good. I didn't think it was a good movie. I thought the main actor, although he was a really nice guy, I didn't think he was that good.
Oh no.
The coolest thing that I thought about it was the villain. I think he was played like by
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. His you know, on his arms he had all of those like dots. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, yo, that's fucking sick. And every dot represented like someone he'd killed.
Really?
No, sick. I think people don't know that about the face paint in Sufferer. We don't really call it corpse paint. Is that we actually took it from inspiration from African tribes and Native American
That's
tribes.
so cool.
So it's not corpse paint. It's not. That's not what it's there for. It's there because like we want to feel like warriors of an old.
War paint, I suppose.
It's
like
war
that.
paint. It's not corpse
Sick.
paint.
Sick.
Yeah. So like Caio, he's from Brazil and he has like native history in the Americas. So he took a paint from a native a painting of a Native American, and I took mine from a picture I saw on Instagram of a bunch of guys like today in Africa with orange and white. And I was
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do black and white. It just felt better. So
yeah.
That's cool.
and we were thinking of like going further and doing the whole body art and everything, like, but it's just too long to do at the dev. Do you know what I mean? Like we just can't like do that.
Yeah.
And we want like bones and like crazy shit and like loads of fire, but we just haven't been at venues that allow that shit yet.
Were you ever a wrestling fan at all?
A wrestling fan? No.
There's this wrestler called Papa Shango, and he had this proper. I'll show you a picture of him afterwards. He had this proper like African witch doctor get up, but it was the most metal looking like makeup he had or face paint.
That's
It was
sick.
just completely sick.
Yeah, I love stuff inspired by like African art. I think African art is dope.
Yeah.
Like I love African art. I was gonna say it's underrated, but it's not, to be honest, because that's why people go to the museums and stuff. Because it's so sick, but no one ever really like. It's weird actually how we have museums full of amazing things from around the world, but they still fail to recognize their genius and their brilliance.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, huh? Why the fuck are you showing this shit off then?
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, I think it's rooted in like the extreme racism of academia.
Yeah.
Like there is a refusal to admit that many of the pharaohs of Egypt were black. Like go and look at the art of ancient Egypt. They're not white.
I know. I
Ptolemy's
see a
white.
lot of things saying no, they were ginger and like, or like the Cleopatra. Was Cleopatra actually?
Cleopatra was a Ptolemy, I think. So I think she was pale. I'm not sure. Well, she wasn't white. She would have not been how she is in movies, where she's like skin like.
And
super
also,
white.
I'm totally fine to accept that if this was the case, that there were like white pharaohs, I'd be totally fine to accept that. Is it the
I'm pretty sure
same?
they'd be Mediterranean at best.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if that's actually what was there, and I'm not gonna like bend my narrative. Like no, they were all black.
That's from the Mummy films, right? It was the-
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
watched
good.
that. I watched
I
that
love
one
the
of
Mummy
those.
film.
I
Yes.
can't lie, man. I love him.
I fucking love
I think
it.
I was too young. I didn't really like.
I had
I
a
was
huge
just like,
crush
yeah.
on like half the cast.
So many people say that.
Yeah. It's a hot film. But like, the dude that's in the Magi is in Star Trek now.
Oh right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's so weird.
I'm not a Star Trek fan.
I was at
I fucking
Dead
love
Fair.
Star Wars, but
I think so.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually was a guard. He was a guard in Egypt, guarding like the tombs in real life.
Oh,
So
no
he's
way.
like really fucking cool.
Damn.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Should we actually turn over a card?
yeah, I was about to ask.
Yeah, let's do it. The next card is 14. This is your outer projection or goal.
Or goal.
Or goal. Whoa, the liar. I will
Not
say
seen that
before
one
you freak
before.
out, this is often a performer card. This is a performance card.
Okay.
It's like an actor is a form of liar. You are a jester. You are changing your face. 29. Okay. This is one of the 7 characteristics. The liar. The jester comes forward onto the stage, balancing on one foot, and his expression can appear sly. A dropped purse lies at his feet, whilst he holds aloft his replica and a mask. This card stands for a deception and the possibility that you are being deceived or deceiving yourself. It symbolises falsity, disguise, cheating, malice, and those occasions when one has to wear a mask to the world for whatever reason.
Now I'm using this as an opportunity to like call out myself for my bullshit. I'm trying to find if there's any bullshit. Like, I know you said it could be about performing, but just read from the description. That doesn't not what performing is about for me. You know, it doesn't relate to performing. The only way I could possibly say that, although I've said I'm very open and I talk about things a lot, like to people, is that, and I don't think this is a bad thing, but I often, like, there's a lot about me that I won't go into because it's just too heavy for some people. Like all this shit that we've been talking about today, and just like, most of the time I'm just that goofy guy, you know what I mean? And like, that's fine. That's why I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I don't think it's deceiving, but I do feel like, a lot of people, I don't go into like my thoughts with a lot of people because I just don't think they'd give a fuck. And I think that's fine, to be honest.
No. So in a way, it's kind of like putting up a facade or a face, just not necessarily.
Well, I guess I don't feel like I put up a face or a facade. I just feel like I don't show them anything else.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't feel like I'm putting on a thought about and like conjured image.
But you're covering up a part of yourself that you don't want them to have to deal with.
Again, I guess I don't offer it unless they make it clear. But then as soon as they ask, like, I'll be like, yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I think I have a very thin barrier. But I sounded really Western there. Barrier. Cider.
Aluminum.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have quite a thin barrier of like be opening up and just being like, not like, why would I talk to you about Satanism? You know.
Do you ever find yourself like resorting to humour as a way of like deflecting from something or protecting from something? Like at school, it sounds like you're a joker figure.
Yeah.
You might have been the jester in that.
That's it's good you brought that up actually, because I don't think people understood that when I was being a crazy, like when I was joking around, was because I was suffering.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I have to do that is because my mind is going, do something, man. It's like having someone right in your face, screaming at you. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just like,
it's like an itch.
Like pulses are just, you know when you have a crazy itch?
Yeah.
And like, if someone's trying to talk to you, there's no way you're going to listen to them. Because you're like, I have to itch. But my itch was to like entertain myself.
Yeah.
So to some people, I guess it looked like I don't give a fuck, or that like, that I don't give a shit that I'm making the teacher's job hard, or that like, well, any of that stuff. But really, I was like having a horrible time. The things I did were fun and they were funny, but as soon as that ended, I went straight back to, yo, you gotta do something dumb again, and it's just like, yeah. So it's good you brought that up actually, because I wouldn't have recognised that.
Do you think that kind of prepares you for being a performer?
I think I was a performer before I was a jackass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think that was like? Just something that was you were born with?
Yeah.
Or did something bring that out of you that made you realise that was the case?
I think I was just born with it. Like I used to always do little shows at home, and like I always loved dancing, and and I went to acting. I did like an acting school for a while.
That's
and
cool.
I loved being on stage and shit. And this was. It was parallel with me. I was like performing at home and singing at home and stuff before I even got into school. So I think I'm a performer before I'm a clown. Yeah.
Cool. It can also represent someone in your life being a liar, so it's not necessarily you.
I don't think I have any liars.
That's good.
Well, if I do, then they're doing a good job.
Very good lies.
Very good job.
But that is your outer goal or projection. So, like, it simply could be you on stage as your projection of yourself, a part of yourself. You were talking about having corpse pain and, well, not corpse pain, war pain.
Yeah.
There I go. Sorry. Yeah. So it could be something very like that. The last card is your underlying factor or influences.
I want it to be like death again. The Fool! Oh my god! Am I just like such a clown on the inside and the outside?
Wow.
Damn! The Fool and the Liar is really funny. Like, I think every single reading I've ever done and Sham's ever done, we both get those cards. And then we always end up relating them to being musicians. Because the Fool is like in charge of his own life. He's playing his own tune through life.
Right.
And he just cares about the present. I'll read it to you now. What number is that?
32.
32. That's one of the 7 characters. Okay. The Fool, piping merrily along the cliff top. I said cliff top. Away from his house, perched perilously on the edge. The Fool dances along, skipping over the roots of the tree. This character can stand for folly and stupidity of the sort that brings so many ventures to ruin in oneself and in other people. It can also symbolise the holy fool, the person who can tell us truths of a sort which a wise man cannot. There can also be the sense of someone playing their own tune through life.
I guess definitely the playing their own tune through life. That's probably the only thing I could relate to there. Like, you know how I was saying earlier about like power dynamics and relationships. I remember specifically they said like I can't imagine anybody telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And I really don't want that to sound arrogant because that's not how I want to be. Maybe I am arrogant, right? But I don't want to be like that. What I mean by that is like it's my life, you know, like like how can I've got to do what I want to do. Even if it's like annoying me, like it did for so many years that I hated school and I wanted to go to Oxford and I love science, but I couldn't do it. And I had to just do this other thing, even though I was resisting it. I couldn't help being pulled along by my inner instinct, my drive. So even if I'm in resistance to it, I can't even tell me what the fuck to do, you know? so yeah, I guess like I'm really glad I got that there.
Sick.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I don't think any of these are negative.
You know?
I think they're all like, yeah.
What about no?
No, I think that was just like, don't stray from the path. So you think about smoking weed.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting? The only cards that are facing this way are kind of like death and skills. And like if you take it in a real like almost literal sense, the fact that you create, you know, sort of like death metal, black metal, and use your skills to apply
awesome.
to that.
Yeah.
That's fucking dope, man. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have looked at the big like. That's really cool.
Is that like in opposition, would you say, to how you walk through life on a daily basis? Is that your like extreme like symmetry that you've got when you walk on stage and there's like other part of you that you can like blast?
I don't think it's an extreme symmetry because I am there every day.
You're living it. Yeah.
I'm there every day. Like I wake up and I put on revenge. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. Like I'm there every day, but in my actions, artistically I'm there every day, but in my actions, no.
That's what I'm.
Yeah. So I guess there is a contrast. Of course, that's why I do it. If there wasn't, it'd just be every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But artistically, it's not. It's where my mind's at. Like I'm there all the time. Yeah.
Maybe that's where the lie comes in. That's where your mind always is, but you've got to put on the face of being on your computer and not punching people in the face.
Yeah, being a 21st century human and not climbing trees with Shem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really fucking cool. I think, is there anything you want to say? Is there a question you'd like to be asked?
That's a cool question in itself. Is
I
there a
always ask
question
people
you'd
that.
like to be asked? Yeah, ask me how I am.
How are you?
I'm alright. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm alright.
Good.
Yeah.
I've had a really fucking good day. This has been really nice, and thank you so much for inviting me on. It was really nice to be with all you guys. And one thing that, obviously I know like it's a podcast, we're supposed to be talking, but I want to say if I've spoken too much, that's quite a thing I would normally do.
You've been wonderful.
Okay, good.
No such thing as speaking too much, in my opinion.
Thanks, man. You've made me laugh so many times today. Yeah, it's been wicked.
Thank you so much for coming. That's such a fucking good time. I learned so much from you. It's so nice to talk to you.
Thank you. I learned so much from you as well.
Great job with the band and stuff, man. Like I really, honestly, personally dig what you're doing. Like I think you've created like a great album with Black Metal Warhead, and I'm excited to see what you do in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. It really does mean a lot. Awesome. Thanks.
Sick.